Hey guys, tonight we're rewinding to 1157, Japan's answer to Game of Thrones, but with fewer dragons and more backstabbing samurai. Picture this, you're knee-deep in autumn, leaves outside Odawara Castle, the air ripe with burning pine and wet earth. Somewhere inside, a 14-year-old girl's about to reshape history. And if you blink, you'll miss the dagger hidden under her birthing robes. Reality check. You'd last 2 minutes here before tripping on a ceremonial sword. Before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and local time below. Let's see who's braving monsoon season versus midnight snow. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You crouch in blood-warmed straw, the metallic tang of labor, sweat clinging to your throat. It's not just any birth chamber. Servants whisper about crimson auroras tearing the sky open 9 months prior. A dragon's yawn foretelling Masako's arrival. Historians still argue whether those lights were celestial drama or clever propaganda. But her father Takamasa isn't taking chances. He's stationed archers in the rafters, just in case the gods try repossessing their omen child. A scream fractures the air. Not the mother's. Hers is a guttural roar that shakes paper screens. It's the midwife, her trembling hand clutching a birth chart speckled in black ink. The stars, they're inverted, she hisses. 12 hours earlier, she joked about delivering future emperors. Now her face mirrors the death-white robes of shrine maidens. Someone stuffs your ears with cotton too late. Temple bells boom 3 valleys over their vibrations, crawling up your spine like spider legs. Standard practice for noble births, except these aren't ringing. They're humming. Monks will later insist their bronze hadn't been struck for days. But right now, their song drowns out the newborn's first cry. You spot it first, the birthmark. Not some cute strawberry blotch, a perfect circle beneath Masako's left collarbone, same as the Hōjō clan crest. Her wet nurse faints, crushing a ceramic incense burner. Lavender smoke coils around the baby's fists as she grips empty air like catching an invisible sword. Fun fact, Masako's birth date later became a math riddle samurai kids memorized year of the fire ox, 9th lunar month, hour of the boar. Crunch those numbers, and you get a cryptogram reading Defy the Sun. Coincidence, the shogunate censors burned 3 scribes for suggesting otherwise. The wet nurse's snores almost mask the real danger, 2 shadows slinking past rice paper walls. Assassins, rival clans. Nope, worse. Great Aunt Yoshi, an 80-year-old battle axe wielding a pregnancy test from 1134. She shoves past you, dunking the baby in an iron pot of cedar resin. Frail ones float, she croaks. Masako sinks like a stone. Silence, then laughter, a sound like bones rattling in a sake cup. Yoshi's missing 3 teeth, but her grin could flay hide. This one's got weight. She means literal density. The child feels heavier than a winter melon. You don't question it. 18 years later, that same density will anchor warships during typhoons. Midwives scrub Masako clean, revealing hair blacker than forged soot. It's already growing. By moonrise, silken strands brush her shoulders, an ill omen suggesting supernatural speed. Servants scatter when her tiny hand closes around a hairpin and snaps it. Totally normal infant behavior if said infant plans to arm wrestle warlords. Your sandal squelches, blood pooling from under the mother's futon. Takemasa barges in, armor clanking, only to freeze at the sight. His wife lies pale as steamed rice, yet smiling. She presses Masako to the one unbloodied patch of robe. Our blade is forged, she whispers, then exits history via hemorrhage. 3 villages will later claim her death shout ignited bonfires. But tonight, it's just sticky floorboards and a militia leader refusing to hold his daughter. Takemasa's hands, calloused from bowstrings, hover like uncertain hawks. Masako solves it for him, her fist locks around his thumb. Gently, deliberately, a general's handshake. Outside, crows gather, not the scrappy urban kind. These are sea-genjin crows, beaks curved like samurai helmets. They don't caw. They drill, wing beats sinking to distant temple bells. You flinch when Masako's eyes snap open, black irises swallowing the lamplight. She stares past you at something centuries ahead. A servant drops a placenta pail, splattering the floor with copper-scented viscera. You slip, crashing into a lacquered chest. Inside, miniature armor for a toddler. The chest itself is older, carved with a faded battle scene. Look closer, the warrior queen's face. An uncanny match for the newborn's squalling visage. Breath steadies around you. Even the crows hush. Masako sleeps at last, fingers splayed like a general mapping territories. Her first dream, probably tax reforms. The midwife scribbles notes using charred bamboo years later. Nuns will cite these scrolls while training warrior novices. Dawn leaks through shutters, staining everything foxfire orange. You realize 2 things. First, your kimono's permanently dyed birth blood pink. Second, history just rerouted its course, and nobody's ready for the bumpy ride. You kneel on stone floors that taste like winter, even in summer. Your tiny hands numb against prayer beads while steel clangs outside. Monks chant sutras through gritted teeth. Warrior drills never pause for devotion. At 6, you learn ink smells thicker than blood. Diplomacy requires shorter sleeves for hiding daggers. Wind howls through monastery slats, carving icicle words into your lungs. Elders say you'll marry Kyoto's frost someday. For now, you chart troop movements in spilled ink, land masses forming between rice grain borders. A nursemaid scolds, "Girls don't play war." You correct her without looking up. Maps aren't play. Historians note Hōjō heirs studied Sun Tzu by 8 for Masako. 4. Those scrolls still sit in Kamakura's museum, though some swear pages were glued shut until 1923's earthquake. Your favorite game, stacking river rocks as rival clans, then accidentally kicking them into the abbot's tea. Your brother trains with wooden swords. You mimic his stances using a broom. His tutor laughs until you dislocate his thumb. Warrior monks start leaving their gates unlocked at dawn, their maneuvers suspiciously rehearsed. One morning, you find a real blade beneath your meditation cushion, 2 fingers long, edge gleaming. A test. They expect screams. Instead, you hide it in your obi, smiling through vespers. That night, the abbot finds his ceremonial dagger missing and his rice wine suspiciously watered. Rumors whisper through the cloisters, monks binding sacred scrolls with stolen hair. You collect strands from temple floors, plaiting them into fishing lines. Catch 3 carp before anyone notices their fountains gone quiet. Dinner that evening tastes sweeter than normal. Revenge pairs well with soy glaze. Winter solstice brings your first blood. Not womanhood, the other kind. Your brother trips you during sparring, splitting your lip. Instead of tears, you spit ruby droplets onto snow, forming the Hōjō crest. His horrified face becomes your favorite portrait. Later, he'll rule provinces, but flinch when you reach for chopsticks. Some claim Masako composed haikus about battle formations. Scroll fragments suggest otherwise. 8 guards snore/moon polishes my blade, 1 less by dawn. Experts think it's vandalism. You know better, poetry's just strategy with syllables. You master the art of listening through walls, thick as they are. Eavesdrop on clan meetings about a Minamoto alliance. Dismissal fuels your resolve. Sketch their weaknesses onto steamed window panels. Breath ink vanishes by noon, less evidence than ash. Historians still argue whether her tactical genius began here, childhood rebellion, or inherited instinct. You've stopped caring. By 9, you mediate disputes between cooks and stable hands, peace treaties sealed with stolen honey. A servant mutters, "That girl could bake mercy into a rock." The abbot gifts you a wooden fox mask, supposedly for festival dancing. Its hollow eyes mirror yours during archery practice. You hit center target 9 times. On the 10th, the arrow quivers in his doorway, strictly accidental. He never mentions it. Rainy seasons bring mildew and opportunity. You organize night raids on the armory, dull every 3rd sword before inspections. Warriors blame lazy smiths. The blacksmith leaves extra whetstones by your window. Gratitude, perhaps, or self-preservation. Your mother visits twice yearly, silk layers rustling like battlefield standards. She brings persimmons and whispered updates on Emperor Takakura's failing health. You pretend not to taste blood in the fruit's sweetness. One autumn evening, the bells stop. Frost etches warnings on every surface. Breath hangs visible, even indoors. Your brother falls ill with poisoned wind. You diagnose miscalculated mushroom foraging. The cure, apologizing to his betrothed for that stolen hairpin. He recovers within hours. At 10, you request no demand a formal education. The abbot assigns you river mud instead. Chart its ebb and flow. You return with maps predicting next week's flood patterns. He burns them, then rebuilds the granary storage. Legend claims Masako's first act as clan advisor recycled these flood maps. Modern engineers call it coincidence. You remember the squelch of silt between toes, how currents whispered where enemies would camp. Your final test comes at 11. Bandits raid the monastery, crude spears against seasoned steel. While monks fight, you barricade the storehouse. Not for safety, to protect the rice reserves. Starve an army's spirit, and their blades follow. Afterward, the abbot kneels to meet your gaze. His breath smells of iron and pine resin. The Hōjō birthright suits you. You almost correct him. It's borrowed armor, real powers forged in silence between bells. As snowfall blankets training grounds, you press palms against that ancient stone floor. Its chill has seeped into your marrow good. Cold things endure somewhere beyond these walls. Temple bells hum a warrior's lullaby, or maybe a war chant. You've learned there the same song. Wind whips through your veil, 12 years old, and already bartered like rice futures. Mother's envoys arrive with lacquered boxes and a silk kimono that chafes worse than burlap. Minamoto no Yoritomo, they announce, a name that tastes of stale mutton and unfinished war. You count the envoy's missing teeth as he prattles about alliances. 3 gaps. 3 lost battles before negotiations. Kamakura's roads reek of wet pine and desperation. Your palanquin sways, perfect for memorizing guard rotations through bamboo slats. Historians love noting this marriage united 2 great clans. They forget your dowry, included 6 warhorses stolen from Terra stables. Your fingers trace the carriage's silk, padding easily ripped for bandages or garrots. Preparation trumps tradition. The meetings set at archery grounds clever. Nothing disarms suspicion like airborne arrows. Yoritomo stands like a half-sharpened blade, all potential, no finesse. His gaze lingers on your Tonto dagger's hilt, not your face. Good. Men who underestimate eyes miss the knife. Some say we're too young, he offers, knocking an arrow. You adjust your sash. The hidden blade whispers reassurance. An 8-year-old ruled China, you counter. His shot splits a target 50 paces off. You request a moving one. They oblige with a spooked hair. Your arrow tastes its heart. Convenient, stew simmers by dusk. Negotiations drag like blunted katanas. Your clan wants northeastern trade routes. His, cavalry reinforcements. Midnight finds you redrawing maps in spilled sake. Yoritomo's strategist mumbles about women's concessions. You smile, refilling his cup with wine from a deadlier vintage. He vomits vows to written terms by sunrise. That first hunt together becomes legend. Yoritomo chases boars. you stalk imperial spies in the underbrush. Return with 2 kills, his tusked beast, your bloodied list of traitors. Historians still argue whether your marriage began as calculation or camaraderie. You recall the warmth of shared venison and the colder thrill of matching body counts. Winter formalizes the union. Priests chant as you grip his sword ceremonial, but your calluses fit the hilt better. Listen close when they mention obedience. Your quiet snort mists the air. Yoritomo's lips twitch. Later, you gift him arrowheads from your first meeting. He pockets them without comment, but his warlord's smirk softens for 3 entire breaths. Months pass. You transpose castle blueprints onto embroidery patterns. Ladies coo over floral designs. Miss the fortification schematics in your stitch work. Servants gossip about Yoritomo's nightly visits. Truth. You're teaching him Hōjō battle codes through go matches. His hands fumble stones, yours diagram sieges in ash. Rebellion ignites in spring, your true wedding gift. While Yoritomo rallies troops, you redirect supply lines through nunneries. Tax ledgers hide missile counts. Devotion makes excellent camouflage. That quirky tidbit archaeologists love. 18th century diggers found arrowheads near your old quarters, still debating if they're weapons or hair ornaments. At the War Council's climax, you enter, they fall silent. Yoritomo gestures to a seat. You choose instead to stand where the setting sun blinds his generals. Propose flanking Terra forces via tidal flats. Old men scoff until you unroll charts inked during tides. Victory arrives with the next moon cycle. Celebrations rage, sake flows. Poets compare your eyes to smelted steel. You slip away to the armory. Yoritomo finds you there, testing a new bow's draw. No words, just 2 arrows notched and fired in unison. They shatter a distant lantern, plunging the room into collaboration's sweet dark. Smoke clings to your lungs like a jealous lover, each breath laced with scorched rice fields and charred promises. The Genpei War tears Japan's throat-open Terra red against Minamoto white. The nation hemorrhages. You pen supply orders by lantern light. Ink blurs as your swollen belly brushes the table. Historians will later cite your coded letters as tactical masterpieces. They won't smell the pickled ginger staining page 3. Yoritomo's scouts ride in with severed heads. You gift them sacks of salt to preserve the trophies. Lemon trees need fertilizer, you deadpan. The men laugh, nervous, admiring. 3 moons till your child quickens, 3 weeks till Terra forces breach the northern levees. You reroute river currents using peasant gossip. Fishermen's tailies of shallow waters prove more accurate than scouts' maps. Labor pains strike during the midnight watch. Servants scurry. You reject the birthing hut for the armory's 2nd floor. Let the enemy hear screams, preferably yours, not the fortress gates. Samurai pound below. Your midwife mutters prayers between contractions. Save the incense, you hiss. We'll need it for cremations. A sun arrives as flaming arrows pierce the courtyard. His wail harmonizes with the death rattle of Terra's front line. Swaddle him in a torn battle standard. Your milk smells of gunpowder. Records claim Masako never breastfed during sieges. Conveniently omit, she hired wet nurses to free both hands for swordplay. Dawn reveals the siege broken, retreating troops trample their own dead in the marshes. You tally losses between nursings. 47 soldiers, 3 granaries, 1 irreplaceable scribe. Yoritomo brings a captured banner, silken and arrogant, just like its former owner. Burn it. No. Repurpose. The cloth becomes swaddling bands. Nothing terrifies enemies like riding into battle against a baby's laundry. Letters fly faster than falcons. Your spies encode troop movements in fabric dye recipes. Indigo vats hide cavalry counts. Flower patterns map ambush sites. Archaeologists still debate whether your famed poetry scrolls were love notes or artillery manifests. Hint, 10 of the tonkas can trigger acid if boiled. Winter brings starvation tactics. You order rice stockpiles dumped into a cholera-tainted well rebels eat or die. Either way, thinning their ranks. A captured general begs for your signature dish. You serve roasted maggots with a smile. Famine's garnish, you purr. His execution tastes sweeter. The Battle of Kurakara churns your innovation, haunts history books. 10,000 Minamoto kites scream through mountain passes, their bamboo whistles mimicking demon hordes. Terra horses panic, charging off cliffs like lemmings in lacquered armor. Historians still argue whether it was strategic genius or just really windy that day. By the time Kyoto burns, you're already rebuilding. Ash falls soft as cradle songs. Your son naps in a helmet lined with moth-eaten silk. Yoritomo surveys the carnage, face lit by embers. You nudge a smoldering scroll with your foot. 3 characters glow. Chinese letter, Tenka. The realm, his ambition, your inheritance. Sleep claims you standing up, leaning against a scorched pillar. Blade across your lap. The wet nurse finds you at dawn, infant in one arm, battlefield report in the other. Your dreams hum with temple bells, or maybe it's just the arrowheads still vibrating in distant corpses. The scream comes at moonrise, not human, but a stallion dragging Yoritomo's empty saddle downhill. You already know, before the messenger kneels, ash in his hair, blood in his teeth. They'll say he fell during a hawk hunt. You'll later find the bird courier's throat slit, 3 precise strokes matching your tanto's curve. Morning robes swallow you whole, white silk starched with hidden starch. Courtiers coo through their sleeves. Poor wit, oh, their smirks whisper. Let them. Your obi folds hide steel plates and a shopping list for a new spy network. The vigil lasts 13 nights. You count 6 plots in the incense smoke, 5 nobles sidling too close, 1 concubine's sleeve poisoned with monk's bane. When advisors suggest burning Yoritomo's favorite horse, you shrug. Then gift the stallion to his angriest rival. Funeral rice cakes arrive wrapped in maple leaves. You bite cinnamon and arsenic. Return these, you tell the cook, pressing the tainted machi into his palm. With my compliments. His corpse floats downstream by noon. Now the real work begins. Your tears become coded letters, saltwater blots marking supply routes. Historians still argue whether you poisoned Yoritomo, but nobody disputes the speed of your rise. Coffers empty overnight. Armories fill. You host tea ceremonies with strategic vomiting. Seasickness, you sigh, while servants swap the Lord's swords with bamboo replicas. One general compliments your kakishibu-stained teeth. You smile wider. Iron oxide preserves corpses too. The council demands regency. Go to your infant son. You applaud, then adopt 19 samurai orphans within the hour. Boys need playmates, you explain. Their daggers under floorboards giggle louder than children. Winter frost cracks the castle stones. You order charcoal deliveries, triple-tiered, wooden carts creak with hidden bows. Stevedores become archers. Historians will later call this Japan's first mobile artillery. Tax records list them as firewood auditors. Rebellions sprout like mold. You don't crush them, redirect. Send your rivals' armies chasing rumors of phantom fleets. Their ships founder on your fictions. One captain's final poem survives. A woman's lie sinks deeper than anchor chains. Moonlight carves your shadow into fortress walls. You patrol battlements, women's quarters to their left, armory to the right. Servants note, you always turn right first. A minor detail, unless you're counting footsteps to the gunpowder cache. The final test comes during a snowstorm. 3 assassins scale your bedroom wall, find you wrapped in a padded judogi. They hesitate. Big mistake. Your wig stand makes an excellent club. Their blood stains the snow pink. By spring, you've replaced every palace guard. New recruits kneel, their foreheads press against your son's cradle. Protect him, you murmur. The real command thrums beneath. Protect me. They hear it. Samurai always recognize steel in a woman's voice. You commission a portrait, demure widow clutching prayer beads. The artist adds extra shadows, perfect for hiding his sketch of your secret docs. When he demands payment, you nod. The next mural's crimson pigment matches his blood. Harvest brings famine. You weep over burnt fields, then redistribute warlord rice stalks. Peasants cheer. Daimyos fume. Nobody notices your tax collectors, siphoning their silos. Ancient records confirm this, credits given to male advisors. Typical. The year ends with a poisoned chalice, literally. Your toast to the new regent leaves 7 conspirators gasping. You sip plum wine, serene, only later scrubbing their bile from your sleeves. Do you let one tear fall? Not for them. For Yoritomo's favorite cup, shattered. Cedar smoke coils around your ankles, the 3rd hour of the night council. You sniff once, attendants scramble to open shutters. One lord's trembling knee betrays his alliance with the imperial court. You serve him extra tea. The dose of monkshood in his cup matches the treason's severity. Reporters often call this Japan's first shadow government. They're wrong. Your husband perfected it. You're just improving the ventilation. Tonight's agenda: rewriting tax codes to favor silk traders, and burying 9 bodies in the Zen garden. Standard Tuesday: a novice monk presents scrolls with misplaced fervor. You motion him closer, pretend to examine the sutra. His neck smells of lotus oil and the Kyoto accent of your sister's murderer. The knife between your ribs stays sheathed. For now, historians adore your incense cipher system, different scents, signaling troop movements. They miss the real genius: burning sandalwood when your migraines flare. Entire battle plans changed because you couldn't stomach jasmine that day. Dawn negotiations require theater. You receive the Fujiwara envoy barefoot, ankle chains clinking. His eyes track the forged slave marks. He doesn't notice your big toe tracing attack routes in the tatami dust. The artifact arrives at noon, a gift from the emperor. Bronze bells meant to honor your piety. Your blacksmith finds mercury sealed inside. You reciprocate with pickled plums and a live scorpion in the emperor's crest box. Birthdays demand tradition. Ladies-in-waiting dress you in rainbow silks and miss the map of Kyoto sewers stitched into the obi. You dab rouge mixed with ground magnetite. Compasses tremble when you pass. Non-lethal options exist. You invent them. Rice wine laced with laxatives stops a border skirmish. 2 days of explosive diarrhea later, the rebels beg for death. Or peace. Same difference. Historians still argue whether your coastal trade routes doubled as escape plans. Mostly they carried fermented squid and informants disguised as fishmongers. The brine preserved secrets better than salt ever could. Midnight summons bring a scholar versed in continental law. His proposal: a female-ruled Japan. You laugh so hard, the guards outside flinch. Then promote him to oversee latrine maintenance. Dreams need groundwork. So do privies. Your spies intercept love letters between rival generals. You edit them, add metaphors about fragile alliances. The resulting duel leaves both armies leaderless. Poetry kills faster than poetry slams. Rainy season brings mildew and an ambassador from the Mongolian Empire. He boasts of Kublai Khan's coming invasion. You gift him a silk handkerchief. The smallpox scabs woven into embroidery arrive a month later. That temple bell rumor. True. The one about using sound waves to communicate. Monks think they're chanting prayers. You're running an ancient intercom system. Salvation's bell tolls for thee, and thy grain reserves. Harvest moon festival approaches. You commission floating lanterns, each painted with the face of a deceased rival. Peasants launch them riverward. Children clap as your enemies' visages drown in paper flames. The final audit reveals missing funds. Your treasurer stammers excuses. You smile, lean in, whisper, "I took it." His relief dies when your guards drag him to the pit. Honesty deserves recognition. As leaves turn, you order the palace repainted crimson. Claim it honors fallen heroes. Really, the dye comes from cochineal beetles, whose acidic excretions weaken wooden support beams. Structural integrity trumps sentimentality. New Year's Eve brings snow and assassins. Ninja, please. These amateurs trip over their own black pajamas. You slip on ice, landing elbow first in their leader's trachea. Luck favors the reckless. Spring thaw unearths a peculiar problem. Your son's first word isn't mother. It's ambush. You beam with pride. The wet nurse gets a raise and a sharper hairpin. By equinox, every major clan owes you blood debts. You collect interest in secret ports and pregnant pauses. Some pay in swords, others in firstborn sons. All transactions documented in smoke signals. The section ends with you burning a midnight ledger. Embers rise like vengeful fireflies. One singes your sleeve. You let it smolder. Not all scars need hiding. Moonlit ledgers crumble to ash beneath your sandals, the scent of scorched silk clotting the air. Your third son's voice slices through the smoke. Brother took the northern garrisons. You nod. Blood feuds age better than wine. Fact. The Jokyu War started over a horse theft. Your family's civil war begins with stolen rice sacks. Progress, debatable. The kitchen staff bets on outcomes using dried sardines. You've rigged the odds with extra wasabi. Sanetomo's banner hangs limp over Kamakura gold chrysanthemums, sweating under noon glare. His poems arrive daily, each verse thinner than the last. You memorize the metaphors, and the troop counts hidden in syllable patterns. Yoritsune's rebellion smells of teenage musk and overripe peaches. He stations men at shrines, fools praying before battle. You send shrine maidens with blessed sake. 3 priests later, the latrines overflow with devotion. The quirky bit historians miss. Cicada shells become your ink. Grind 6 wings with rogue urine, messages glow under moonlight. Your son's love letters fluoresce betrayals in teal hieroglyphs. Campfires dot the foothills like tailless scorpions. You count them through a fractured telescope, the lens cracked during that accidental pavilion collapse. 62 fires, 5 traitor generals, 1 birthday gift for each. Negotiations happen in a persimmon grove, neutral ground. Neither son brings swords. Both wear poison rings. You arrive with peeled fruit and a blowgun strapped to your thigh. Pulp drips while they posture. He called me bastard-born. Yoritsune snarls. Sanetomo coughs, a habit since you swapped his childhood honey with mustard paste. Their insults hang like unwashed laundry. You yawn. Catapults creak beyond the ridge. Historians still argue whether you poisoned Sanetomo's concubine or just her perfume. Truth. You gifted jasmine oil. She added the arsenic herself, overachiever. Let scholars debate. Graves stay quiet. Siege engines groan at dawn. Brothers mirror each other's formations, dragons facing tails. You climb the watchtower in a laundress smock. Archers ignore the frumpy servant, adjusting pulley ropes, and the counterweights you loosen. Noon brings a hostage exchange, 3 cousins for 2 dogs. Your famous Akitas, supposedly. Reality. Stray mutts dunked in dye. The fur rubs off during the trade. No one admits they've been outsmarted by flea-bitten mongrels. Nightfall. Your tent reeks of wet fox fur and desperation. Sanetomo's spy offers a ruby the size of a sparrow's heart. You drop it into barley soup. The gem sinks. The spy floats face down by dawn. Yoritsune's turn. He sends a concubine, 18, trembling, eyes blackened. You recognize the girl from spring equinox dances. Give her a wakizashi dagger. Whisper which tent his commanders bed down in. Poetry in motion, really. The clash comes on Oyake's feast day. Perfect. Saints overlook carnage if you donate roasted boar afterward. Brothers meet on the bridge where you once taught them to skip stones. The river runs redder than festival banners. Sanetomo's blade nicks Yoritsune's earlobe. The younger howls, high-pitched, a sound that resurrects baby memories. Your wet nurse's ghost materializes briefly to Tut in disapproval. You shrug. Parenting manuals lack siege tactics. They lock swords at the bridge's crest, a perfect tableau. You descend the slope, hem trailing through horse blood. Archers freeze mid-draw. Even crows halt mid-caw. Your son's blades tremble, but your voice doesn't. Kill him, and you kill my heart twice over. A mother's plea. Also, your kneecap slams into Sanetomo's kidney. Your elbow cracks Yoritsune's wrist. They crumple not dead, just educated. The truce banquet features undercooked eel and 12 kinds of silence. You split territories using chopsticks. Sanetomo gets the chopstick tips, Yoritsune the splintered ends. The middle section becomes kindling for your bathhouse. Later, monks record your divinely inspired piece. You correct the scribe, a mother's love. His ink freezes. Truth sticks worse than rice guild bribes. One son sails east at dawn. The other flees west. You burn their childhood quilts and plant mulberry trees where the nursery stood. Silk heals faster than skin. The temple bell tolls dusk, its bronze still warm from your fingers. Guards report crows gathering at both sons' camps. You smile. Even carrion birds understand family reunions. Frostbite nips your fingertips as the boat grinds ashore, exile's first gift. Sato Island looms, a jagged silhouette hungry for fallen nobles. You count 19 strokes of the oarsman's cough. Efficient, the man's phlegm will ice over before noon. Banishment means 3 layers of rotting seaweed per meal. You barter your hairpin for a fisherman's hut, its walls papered with mulberry bark and old tax records. The stove exhales smoke signals. Neighbors blame faulty chimneys. You recruit them as lookouts. Mainstream history clings to this fact like a barnacle. Political exiles mined Sato's gold until their hands bled. You don't dig. You delegate. The pit boss's wife develops sudden fondness for your lint-covered sweets. Her reports arrive in coal baskets. Winter carves the coast into glass teeth. You memorize tide patterns between shivers, ragged breaths frosting the lone window. One midnight, shapes wade through aurora-lit shallows, loyalists from Kamakura, 7 warriors smelling of brine and boiled leather. They kneel. You serve seaweed wine in cracked bowls. Start a rumor, you order. Say, I've gone mad with grief. The quirky bit future scholars will misattribute. Salt becomes your ink. Mix it with gull's blood, messages crystallize on parchment. Hold them to a candle, and the ghostly text confesses troop movements. Your enemies' love letters melt into bland soup. Spring thaw brings a mad nun persona. You construct a shrine from driftwood, offer sea urchin spines to imaginary gods. Pilgrims toss coins into your offering box and drop silk scraps detailing Kyoto's unrest. The shogunate underestimates how well insanity hears whispers. Historians still argue whether you personally strangled the spy or let the tides do it. His body washes up with the morning kelp. Note pinned to his sodden robe, 5 ships dock at Suruga. You reply using his left earlobe as a messenger tag. 3 summers pass. Your spy network now stretches from Izo's icy forests to Kyushu's sulfur pits. A Sake merchant delivers the pivot point, a coated barrel label reading imperial regalia missing. You smile. Even emperors misplace their myths. The rebellion starts with a gift, 29 salted mackerel from a devoted follower. Inside each fish, a slip of bamboo. Together they spell now. You burn the hut embers swirling into cormorant shapes. Locals swear they see your ghost riding the smoke inland. Coastal garrisons fall like rotten piers. Your forces march under a banner stitched from fishermen's nets. Each knot a surrendered soldier's name. At Kusatsu Pass, the imperial commander recognizes your frost-scarred chin. He laughs until your lieutenant's arrow replaces his Adam's apple. Kyoto's gates creak open under a blood-orange dawn. Officials prostrate themselves in snow-choked streets, their foreheads icing to cobblestones. You dismount and slip on black ice. The crowd gasps. You declare it a ceremonial bow to tradition. 20 chronicles will call it intentional. The emperor's envoys arrive with honeyed words and poisoned tea. You serve them raw sea cucumber gonads. They faint. 1 soiled robe later, you've secured pardons for your loyal vassals. Also, the deed to a lakeside villa. Priorities. Your war elephant, a shaggy Hokkaido ox draped in moth-eaten tapestries, tramples the last dissenter's rice storehouse. Pagan, perhaps. Effective. The village elder pledges allegiance while picking barley from his beard. You name him Minister of Agriculture. He lasts 3 days. By the equinox, the capital's towers bear your crescent moon emblem, 3 brushstrokes copied from a child's painting. The original artist gets a province to govern. His first edict bans turnip taxes. Peasants carve his face into radishes. winter returns. You'll never warm these bones fully. Exile lingers beneath the skin. But when the palace bells shiver at dusk, you recognize the tremble as kinship. Bronze and flesh share the same fragility, the same hunger. The priest finds you feeding crows at moonrise. Why conquer? He asks, eyeing your seaweed-stained nails. You toss the last scrap of eel. Someone had to remind the empire, tides always return. The birds caw agreement, a choir of polished knives. Crow feathers cling to your sleeves like charred parchment. The birds flee west moments before smoke stains the horizon. Kyoto's northern district blooms orange, flames licking aristocrats' diaries into ash confetti. You inhale crisped silk and crushed peonies from abandoned perfume shops. Your horse's hooves avoid smoldering shamisen strings, their twang dying mid-note. The Jokyu War's official records claim Emperor Go-Toba accidentally torched his own palace during a drunken poetry contest. True enough, if you ignore the 32 barrels of lamp oil your scouts gifted his kitchen staff. The imperial brewery explodes in a rice wine fireball. Nearby nobles mistake it for avant-garde theater. Watch for the quirky twist archivists will later debate. Blossoms aren't the only things falling that night. Caged songbirds released by panicked servants dive into flames, drawn to the fake dawn. Their crisped wings become good luck charms, sold back to survivors at triple price. Your lieutenant presents a still warm onigiri, stuffed with pickled plum and panic. The Ikuta shrine's on fire. He blurts. You shrug, relax. The gods lease that space monthly. He doesn't grasp the joke. Neither will historians. Sparks swirl into mock cherry blossoms. You recall Kyoto's last summer, how these same streets dripped with orchid perfume. Now the scents replaced by is that burning lacquerware. Someone's decorative soup bowls just became carcinogens. 17 imperial generals surrender in their night robes, pink rabbits embroidered on hems clashing with their ash-gray faces. You assign them to latrine duty. Their first task, fish court documents from overflowing cesspits. The smart ones drown themselves. Moonlight battles smoke for dominance. A child's forgotten doll melts in a gutter, its glass eyes weeping molten streams. You rescue the toy's silk kimono. Waste not. Threads from royal looms make excellent garrots. The mainstream factoid they'll teach schoolchildren. This firestorm incinerated 37 noble lineages, and the only copy of the pillow book of Minister Fujiwara. You mourn the literature loss by kicking a samurai's teeth into a wishing well. Chaos births opportunity. A panicked merchant offers his entire warehouse for one guardsman's helmet. You counteroffer 3 eggs and a rusty nail. His descendants will call this negotiation the Great Egg Heist of 1221. Historians still argue whether you ordered specific buildings spared or just enjoyed the randomness. The truth, you saved the clock tower because its hourly bell reminded you of Sado Island's tides. Nostalgia's a dangerous luxury. Dawn exposes the damage, charred beams clawing at a jaundiced sky. Farmers loot scorched shrines until recognizing your crescent banner. They switch to sweeping ashes with religious fervor. One woman offers you roasted chestnuts. You promote her to sanitation chief. Rebel envoys arrive, stinking of burnt hair and poor decisions. They demand a ceasefire. You counter-demand. Bring me every surviving court calligrapher. The scribes arrive trembling until you commission love poems for fallen soldiers' widows. A wet thud breaks the negotiations. A sturgeon drops from the sky, flapping weakly against cobblestones. Your scouts report. Smoke suffocated fish in the Kamo River. You declare it an omen and serve sashimi to the homeless. The emperor's cousin kneels in a puddle of molten wax. His ransom offer includes silkworm farms and a pet albino raccoon. You accept, then auction the raccoon to fund hemp sandals for troops. Some call it ruthless. You call it fiscal responsibility. By midday, the first scavengers emerge. Crows with half-burnt wings hop between corpses. They've developed a taste for jeweled hairpins. You assign a soldier to collect the baubles. His report notes, birds negotiate via angry squawks. Paid them in dried minnows. Rain finally comes, a half-hearted drizzle that smears ash into face paint streaks. Refugees mimic your look within hours. Market stalls sell non-warlord gray cosmetic kits. The ingredients, charcoal and crushed dignity. You tour the ruins as temple bells chorus through smoke. A mason offers to carve your victory date into a torii gate. You choose instead tomorrow's date. Confidence sells better than history. Night falls on the cracked emperor's palace. Advisors beg you to claim the throne. You point to the smoldering cityscape. Why sit on silk cushions when you can walk through hellfire twice? They scribble that down as official policy. The last fire dies near the Jin district, where courtesans once sang ballads about doomed lovers. Now their charred strings hum war anthems. A geisha offers a salvaged bottle of sake. You share it over maps, plotting reconstruction. Morning reveals the quirky survivor. A single persimmon tree, its fruit blackened but intact. Monks declare it holy. You have the preserves shipped to enemies, each jar labeled Kyoto's heart. Paranoia depletes their supplies within weeks. Survivors whisper as you pass. Some curse your name, others mutter prayers. One boy throws a mud ball. Your guard draws his sword. You halt him. Let history judge. Children make terrible biographers. The kid becomes your personal messenger. By week's end, the rebuilding starts using stones from destroyed samurai mansions. Peasants chant your name while mixing mortar, their rhythm echoing Minamoto war drums. Tradition and rebellion share the same heartbeat. You return to camp at dusk, blisters marching across your palms like tiny soldiers. A lieutenant asks why you spared the Imperial Library's astrology wing. Someone's gotta read my future, you lie. The real reason, You owed Yoritomo's ghost a favor. Sleep comes fitfully, dreams filled with laughing crows and melting dolls. Before dawn, you climb the eastern watchtower. Kyoto's skeleton stretches below, a charcoal sketch, waiting for new ink. The wind carries a fisherman's song from Lake Biwa, and the scent of 17 hidden funeral pyres. History books will call this piece, you know better, it's just the pause between flames. The temple cedar beams creak under the weight of your memories, each groan mimicking Yoritomo's battlefield cough. You kneel before a censer swirling sandalwood smoke, and your dead husband's favorite lies. You promised me 7 sons. His voice hisses through ash. The candle between you gutters, its flame trembling like a coward's sword arm. Historians will later confirm Kamakura-era widows often communed with spirits, but none admit how boring ancestral gripes become. The Northland's tax dispute. He begins. You yawn into your sleeve. Ghosts never discuss fun topics, like which concubines poisoned your 3rd pregnancy. Mainstream chronicles note you burned 33 incense blends during these seances. What they omit. The 14th recipe included powdered turtle shell and a splash of peach wine. Your attendant nearly choked mixing it. But old Yoritomo always had a sweet tooth. A scroll materializes in the smoke, terms for allowing his spirit into next month's harvest festival. You counter with a demand scrawled on mulberry paper. Stop haunting my stable boys. The air tastes like burnt honey and dented pride. You're just angry I renegotiated your burial rights. His specter sneers. Correct, saving 400 koku of rice beets, funding his mausoleum's gold-leafed outhouse. A draft snuffs the candle. You relight it, using a smoldering treaty, watching characters blacken into new meanings. The quirky twist temple nuns will whisper for centuries. Your inkstone held traces of fermented squid ink, said to bind agreements across death's veil. Modern labs'll call it mold, but good luck finding a historian who's tasted both. Dawn leaks through shuttered windows. Your shadow stretches 11 hands long on the tatami. Yoritomo's presence fades with the smoke, but not before flinging one last petty jab. Your eyebrows were thinner when we married. Classic ghost deflection. Attack grooming choices when losing tariff disputes. Advisors find you drafting laws in residual ash. Their brows furrow at clause 17. All shrine offerings must include millet cakes on Tuesdays. None grasp it's Yoritomo's truce price, or that his ghost despises millet. Mid-morning brings a delegation from the Fujiwara. Their leader references your divinely inspired policies, meaning they smelled incense on the tax exemptions. You serve tea steeped with chrysanthemum petals, the same blend Yoritomo's mistress once favored. 12 minutes later, unexplained hives cancel their petition. By noon, you're mediating a land dispute between drunk monks and a blind swordsmith. Their argument: who owns rainwater collecting in a cracked Buddha statue? You rule in favor of the swordsmith, then install gutters to prevent future divine puddles. Historians still argue whether these nightly negotiations were spiritual necessity or political theater. Let them debate. You're too busy seeding rumors about haunted rice paddies. Peasants avoid the fields after dark, conveniently leaving tax assessors alone with their ghosts. Sunset finds you back at the censer, this time haggling with your father's ghost over ancestral land rights. He wants plum orchards replanted. You counteroffer. One commemorative rock garden. The smoke forms a middle finger. Samurai families never could argue quietly. A novice interrupts with emergency documents, bandits raiding northern granaries. Your quill hovers over troop orders, then shifts to a memo for Yoritomo. Handle your clan's delinquents, or I'll salt their graves. The raid mysteriously ends before dawn. Night deepens. You burn the last treaty, watching embers outline a half-remembered face. Yoritomo's laugh rumbles through drifting ash. Still using guilt like a broadsword, he mocks. You smile. Some marital habits stick tighter than grave dirt. Candle wax pools around a preserved edamame pod, his childish obsession with snacks transcending death. You leave it by the window, where crows will steal it by morning. Let the afterlife contend with his protein cravings. The temple bells toll twice, your signal to switch from necromancy to infrastructure planning. Roads need mending. Bribes require laundering. And somewhere in Kyushu, a toddler inherits your husband's stubborn chin. The living and dead both demand receipts. You exit as dawn inks the horizon orange, same shade as Yoritomo's favorite battle sash. An acolyte asks if ghosts ever apologize. Only when you tax their silence, you reply. She'll misunderstand and spread it as gospel by noon. Your sandals scuff ash hieroglyphics into the temple steps, a subconscious treaty draft. The wind erases it before anyone deciphers Clause 22. Widows retain all armor and the last word. The poisoned tea tastes of apricots, Warabi's favorite. You watch his Adam's apple bob as he swallows, greedy for sweets, even in betrayal. His conspirators follow suit, lemon-scented steam fogging their tribunal scrolls. 5 gulps. 6. The 7th man hesitates. But peer pressure kills faster than monkshood. One collapses into the tea tray, ceramics shattering like adolescent loyalties. The others claw at lacquered throat plates. Those newfangled samurai collars, suddenly too tight. Warabi wheezes a question through blue lips. When did I know? You adjust his toppled cup, centering it on the blood-splattered saucer. Your mistress sings louder than temple frogs, and far less in tune. A mainstream history text will later call this the 3 T's conspiracy, neglecting to mention the 4th cup meant for your bath attendant's lazy cousin. Your grandson arrives as planned, 8 years old, and drowning in ceremonial robes. He fixates on Warabi's death twitch. You tap his chin upward. Kings don't stare at floor stains. The advisor's protests die when you produce their signed pact, conveniently missing clauses about redistributing your silk reserves. Later, palace chefs will swear they heard giggles from the poison pantry. But that's just the fermented plum wine talking. The quirky truth: you tested the dosage on Kyoto's loudest street performer, 3 days of musical flatulence, proving lethal for dignity, not life. Nightfall brings a flustered wet nurse. He won't sleep without his carved fox. You slip the toy from your sleeve. Its wood still sticky with antidote glaze. The boy mumbles through dreams. Grandmother's candy makes my teeth buzz. A future regent's first lesson: sweetness often conceals edges. Historians still argue whether you planned the coup or seized chance when traitors handed you poisoned teapots. Let them debate parchment timelines. You're too busy stitching fox motifs into the boy's new robes. Every pull of the needle whispers. Puppet strings chafe less when velvet-wrapped. Midnight scribes receive unexpected orders. 20% lighter taxes on soybeans and free moxa treatments for stable horses. The people's murmured gratitude will matter more than 10,000 dead conspirators. You initial the edicts using Warabi's dreed blood. Bureaucratic efficiency meets artistic flair. A messenger interrupts troops loyal to the Fujiwara mass near the river. You send back his severed sleeve stuffed with lotus roots. The traditional will dig your graves retort. Bonus: the roots are molded with rice paste, a snack for whoever survives your archers. Dawn reveals a courtyard scrubbed spotless if you ignore those suspiciously vibrant azaleas. The boy emperor practices calligraphy, copying your brushstrokes exactly. His autonomous decree banning scallion taxes delights the peasantry and neatly undermines the Kyoto spice cartel. By noon, the surviving counselors bow lower than pregnant carp. You gift each a ceramic badger, their clan's code for we tolerate your mediocrity. 2 younger ones tremble. They've heard rumors about firework powder in ceremonial incense. A nun brings temple complaints. The bells ring off schedule since last night's incident. You nod solemnly, pocketing the forged moonlight required for bronze repairs. Let the monks puzzle over celestial metallurgy while you redirect their rice donations. Sunset stains the palace walls liver red, same shade as Warabi's final cheek flush. Your grandson asks why rulers need bedtime stories to remember which monsters bite. You murmur, tucking the antidote vial beneath his pillow. The chamberlain stutters through a land reform proposal. You silence him with pickled ginger. Try again tomorrow, with less vinegar between your words. He'll obsess over metaphorical condiments for weeks, buying time to install your spies in his millet warehouses. Bedtime finds you oiling Yoritomo's old dagger, its hilt still notched from that ill-advised pumpkin carving contest. The blade reflects your grandson's sleeping face, and for a breath, you see 2 puppet masters in one mirror. The wind carries a drunkard's song from the tavern district The regent's a ghost. The boy's a scarecrow. You smile, let them mock what they can't comprehend. Straw men burn brightest in revolution's fires. Your final edict tonight. Mandatory fluffy pillows for all court scribes. Soft necks surrender faster to the executioner's blade. But that's a lesson for next week's curriculum. The cedar smell hits first, sharp, as a blade fresh from the whetstone. Carvers' chisels whisper shriek through sacred wood, each splinter catching dawn light like miniature spears. You trace the statue's half-formed cheek, craftsmen freeze, until your nod permits their blasphemy. Make the scars deeper, you murmur. Posterity deserves honest calluses. Mainstream records will claim this was carved posthumously. Ignore them. Truth. You posed between suppressing the Hōjō rebellion and drafting tax codes, multitasking as ever. The head monk argues deities shouldn't have battle marks. You remind him, whose donated gold gilds his altar. Suddenly, scars become divine text. Pilgrims arrive before the lacquer dries, peasants whose calloused hands mirror your statues. They rub its cedar toes for luck. Within months, the feet gleam smoother than courtiers' lies. Quirk alert. Scavenger priests sell the wood shavings as virility dust. Turns out desperation smells like pine resin and false hope. A child points at the statue's missing pinky, your old dueling injury. Did a tiger bite you, Lady God? You wink, tossing her a persimmon candy. Tigers. Paperwork's deadlier. Historians still argue whether that finger was lost in battle or a disputed land deed. Poetry wins over ledgers every time. Rain drums the temple roof as you inspect the face, too serene. You grab a chisel, etching crow's feet around hollow eyes. The carvers gasp. Laugh lines, you insist. Even war has its jokes. Thunder applauds your vandalism as monks scribble new scriptures to explain it. Night brings Nara's envoys, shocked you've depicted yourself beside Amaterasu. Tradition reserves this wall for sun goddesses. You gesture to fresh plaster. Their own emperor's face glowers behind you, half obscured by your carved shoulder. How fortunate my shadow protects his radiance. They leave before dawn, and your masons accidentally expand the shadow. The statue's sword arm troubles you, too stiff, too formal. At midnight, you drag in a drunk sculptor. Make it look relaxed, like it's petting a cat between beheadings. He weeps into his sake. Achieves perfection by the third tremulous stroke. Peak pilgrimage season hits. A throng presses against the offering box. You watch from hidden galleries as fingers brush your cedar hem. Their awe warms you more than any brazier. One samurai licks the statue's palm, later claiming it cured his bamboo splinters. Faith's a curious fertilizer. Makes miracles sprout from pure theatrics. Your granddaughter arrives, 7 and furious. They say it's ugly. You pluck a woodpecker feather from the statue's hair, tuck it behind her ear. Ugliness warns enemies. Beauty disarms friends. Choose your face wisely. She'll rewrite this advice as a love poem in 16 years, with a dagger taped to the parchment's underside. A novice monk asks why the statue holds no prayer beads. You press your palm against its cedar one. Feel splinters bite, dead gods beg. Living ones act, he faints. Becomes your best spy after the smelling salts revive him. Winter cracks the temple's north wall, your left eyebrow develops a frost split to match. Artisans panic. You insist they preserve it. Each fissure tells a year we survived. The abbot mutters about structural integrity, until your voluntary donation of stolen enemy lumber silences him. Spring unveils the finished piece, weathered before its time. Visitors marvel at the ancient aura. Little do they know, you paid beggars to rub dirt into the grooves. Authenticity's just theatrics with extra mud. A pregnant woman kisses the statue's feet, names her son after your dead husband. You send samurai to collect the child in 18 years. Fine investment strategy. Historians still argue whether you commissioned the statue out of vanity or strategy. Fools, cedar lasts longer than bone, and twice as long as loyalty. You catch your reflection in the offering pool. Carved scars align perfectly with living ones. Art mirrors life, or perhaps demands it. The head carver presents his final invoice, stamped with a lotus motif. You pay triple, then burn the receipt. Let future scholars agonize over your extravagance. Smoke curls upward, spelling nothing, meaning everything. The imperial seal cracks like eggshells under the messenger's trembling fingers. You sip barley tea while he stumbles through the edict, banishment to Sado Island, effective immediately. Cherry petals swirl through open screens, each pink flake dissolving against his sweat-drenched neck. Pardon the interruption, you say, nodding to your scribe. We're renovating the dungeons. Would you prefer east-facing cells or scenic mountain views? He flees before dessert, leaving the scroll beside untouched machi. Your laughter shakes the plum blossoms loose. They carpet the courtyard like surrendered swords. Guards report the man's horse through a shoe 3 leagues north. Coincidence, you order the smithy paid double for quality work. Historians will later document this as the Jakyu disturbance. Ignore their neat timelines. Right now, while Kyoto's courtiers nap, your riders gallop west. They carry no weapons, just 600 moon-viewing invitations, inked on silk. Every warlord knows your poetry codes. Dewy chrysanthemums means assemble at dusk. Singing badgers signals torches dipped in fish oil. The emperor's decree arrives at dawn. 3 hours after your army crosses the Kaizo River. Quirk time. His messengers wore left socks inside out against evil spirits, still couldn't outpace your carrier pigeons. You inspect their footwear while generals plot. Superstition makes poor armor against strategy. Snow-laden breeches stiffen around your legs as you survey the pass. A lieutenant suggests burning villages for warmth. You toss him an orange instead. Peel it slowly. The smell reminds men of home fires. Desertion rates drop that night. Citrus proves mightier than kindling. They say you ordered 7 bridges dismantled. Truth, farmers did it themselves. Your silver bought their silence and their lumber. Now imperial troops flounder in knee-deep mud where roads once lay. Their ox carts sinking like drunken turtles. A scout reports their commander's name, Terra, no Munamori's third cousin's nephew. Dynasty decay in real time. Your tent reeks of wet ink and wetter dogs. Maps sprawl across lacquered boxes. Battle plans overlap grocery lists. Historians still argue whether you planned this revolt for years or improvised during a particularly sour tea ceremony. Pro tip: rage and strategy brew best together. Midnight brings an offer scented with plum wine. The emperor's envoy promises pardons, and a gilded cage in Hyankayo. You serve him pickled radishes shaped like severed ears. He vomits politely into his sleeve. Classy, even in terror, dawn stains the horizon the color of a fresh bruise. Your archers perch in cedar trees, their bows strung with deer gut and vengeance. Below, imperial scouts mistake cormorant nests for helmets. Nature's decoys stay flawless until the first arrow sings. You spot the enemy's vanguard through a spyglass. Their armor gleams like overpolished arrogance. Let them keep their shine. You tell the smiths. Rusty blades cut just as deep and leave better scars. The resulting cheer shakes icicles from pines. Tiny daggers shattering on frozen earth. A boy couldn't be 12 winters old delivers rice balls to your front line. His mother's note hides in the bamboo wrapper. Burn the eastern granary. We've salted our fields already. Peasant cunning outshines samurai posturing any day. You promote the boy to ration master on the spot. Smoke plumes signal the traps sprung. Too early, you curse through a mouthful of chilled congee. Someone got trigger happy with a torch. Adjustments fly faster than falcons. Cavalry feints left. Foot soldiers carve a marsh path. You even unleash the rumor onion farmers found gold downstream. Greed turns enemies into idiots, and idiots into easy targets. Moonlight reveals the emperor's banner tangled in black pines. Silk snagged like a child's lost kite. Your scribe suggests mounting it as a trophy. You toss it to a widowed seamstress instead. Line your infant's cradle. Softest rebellion you'll ever wage. She sews it into a thunder pattern. Months before the kids' first anti-imperial poem, the retreating troops leave snowshoe prints deeper than their legacy. You trace their path with a broken arrow. Frostbite claims 3 toes that night. Small price for keeping 8 provinces. Doctors suggest bear grease remedies. You opt for whispered ballads about warm springs. The men sing louder than you're shivering. Solidarity defies hypothermia. News comes via fishermen. Kyoto's court band, cherry blossom viewing. Trying to erase your laughter from collective memory. Jokes on them. Your spies plant saplings around the imperial prison. Next spring, cells will drown in falling petals. a pink tide no decree can stop. Final skirmish unfolds at a ford called Nightingale's Tears. Though only crows attend the feast, you command from a palanquin rigged with arrow slits. Cold makes your bones creak like old ship planks. An overeager general breaches your shields. Discovers too late you've been aiming at the riverbank logs. His drowning scream harmonizes with the splitting timber. Nature's choir hits all the wrong notes. Survivors swear they witnessed your death, head severed, body ablaze. Gossip enlivens long marches. You tell the truth-adjacent chronicler. Then promote him to logistics officer. Nothing silences lies like paperwork. Dawn finds imperial seals melting into campfire coals. Molten wax hisses like tiny defeated dragons. You pen a response on salvaged rice paper, one character per sheet for dramatic effect. Messengers depart hourly. Each scrap a breadcrumb leading to fresh ambush sites. Let them piece together their downfall, syllable by syllable. The head priest performs a ransomed emperor's ritual, annulling your banishment through clenched teeth. You gift his temple a bell cast from captured swords. Its chime sounds suspiciously like laughter. Parishioners call it holy. Your engineers know it's off-key by design. As snow resumes its silent conquest, you spot the first returning cherry buds. Victory smells like petal nectar and unspun silk. Or maybe that's just the sake talking. Doesn't matter. Tomorrow brings new edicts and fresh blossoms to bury them. Winter gnaws at your campaign like a starving dog, its teeth sunk deep in supply lines. You order rice stores moved into abandoned badger dens. Military engineering meets wildlife real estate. Your breath hangs frostwhite in the air, each exhale a temporary banner of defiance. Ice cracks beneath straw sandals as scouts map frozen rivers, nature's forbidden highways. Historians will later credit you with pioneering cold weather logistics. But really, you just copied what salmon do. Mainstream fact time. The Eastern Army's records confirm 18 supply caches buried under icy waterfalls. Nobody thinks to loot what they can't see. A sentry presents frozen enemy arrows, tips snapped off like brittle dreams. Return these, you instruct. Dip the heads in honey first. Hungry garrisons will suck the sweetness before realizing the poison. Dessert precedes death, your twisted version of hospitality. Quirky tidbit incoming. Troops weave grass into their armor, not for camouflage, but smuggling matches. One spark ignites an entire battalion's worth of kindling. Arson as group project. You approve their ingenuity and dock their pay for ruining good lacquer. Snow blindness cripples the Emperor's forward units. You counter with mirrored shields salvaged from shrines. Blizzards become weapons when sunlight strikes your makeshift glare walls. Enemies stumble into frozen ravines, clutching melted eyes. The Buddhist abbot who donated those mirrors later fined for improper use of divine property, worth every copper. Your spies arrive blue-lipped and shaking. They bring gifts stolen from imperial tents, bear fur mittens, a jade thimble, 3 walnuts carved with profanities about your lineage. You roast the nuts over coals. Let the scribe eat them. Their flushed cheeks inspire your next tactic. Strip the pine forests bare. Your orders ripple through camp like shivering wildfire. Men debate whether you're building siege engines or winter huts. Answers both. Axes bite wood in sync with chattering teeth. The rhythm keeps morale thawed. Historians still argue whether your ice forts collapsed from spring melt or targeted arson. But you know, those bamboo pipes pumping groundwater weren't for drinking. They were crystalline time bombs. Sunrise turns your structures to lethal fog, walls weeping themselves into oblivion. A messenger collapses mid-bow, frostbite claiming his toes mid-sentence. You prescribe a brutal remedy, snow rubbing while recesting love poetry. The man chooses death. His last words critique your rhyming scheme. Can't win them all. Nightfall brings the crunch of sneak attacks on both sides. Frost makes silent warfare impossible. You commission straw dummies dressed in your colors. Position them around smoldering fires. Enemy archers waste volleys on decoys. Your real forces sip mushroom broth behind rock slides. Dawn reveals infant icicles glinting on beards. The youngest soldier starts an informal contest. You judge entries while reviewing casualty lists. Award a dead man's rations to the winner. Morale's a fickle beast. Feed it absurdity, or it eats your reserves. Rebel farmers arrive dragging sleds of pickled turnips. Their price: protection from tax collectors and frost demons. You ratify the deal with a poem. Sign it using an icicle-drawn blood substitute. Lawyers would faint, but frozen beet juice holds up in wartime courts. The emperor's nephew leads the next charge, a golden helm making him a living target. Your archers hold fire. Let him reach the frozen moat. His armored bulk cracks the ice. The gurgled scream startles crows from their roosts. You toss flowers onto the breach. Funeral rites double as insult comedy. Rumors spread of wolves licking salt from dead men's eyes. You confirm it personally during a moonlit patrol. Nature's scavengers become unwitting allies till they start stalking your outposts. Solution: bait imperial camps with dried fish. Let tooth and claw do the negotiating. Sickness creeps through ranks, purple blotches heralding the coughing plague. You quarantine the infected in ice caves, their barks echoing like forgotten ghosts. Doctors suggest burning the bodies. You counter with sky burials. Let enemy scouts count the circling vultures. 2,314 carrion birds make for excellent psychological warfare. A decoded scroll reveals Kyoto's new strategy. Wait for spring. Amateur hour. You've been stockpiling snow in shaded ravines all along. Summer comes when you say it does, and your glacial reservoirs hold enough chill for 2 Julys. Final clash erupts at the night freeze pass. Though clash implies noise beyond the grind of ice on bone, You fight swaddled in quilts, every swing slower than a monk's repentance. An enemy spear grazes your thigh. The wound freezes shut before blood can stain silk. Silver linings, hypothermia addition, retreat sounds via conch shell, a wet, mournful wail across the white waste. You let them flee, tracked by soldiers wearing fox fur snowshoes. Men return with trophies, fingers, belt buckles, one surprisingly intact sweet potato. Victory tastes earthy and charred, like hope dug from embers. Priests declare the thaw divine intervention. Your engineers grin over their forced glacier blueprints. Pilgrims will later call this the miracle of dissolving swords. But you know, faith melts faster than winter. Only preparation leaves scars on history's skin. Snowmelt carries the fallen downriver. Their bodies bloom into ferment for next year's poppies. You toss a captured standard into the current. Silk unfurls like a beckoning hand. Let the capital fish it from their moat, your calling card written in water and absence. Spring arrives with cherry blossoms, as promised. Petals settle on graves, treaties, and your unopened pardon scroll. Historians will quantify this as a tactical stalemate. You tally it as 9 months bought. Time enough to teach icicles how to bite back twice as hard. Moonlight slips through warped paper screens. Your brush hovers above parchment like a hesitant sparrow. 12 years since Yoritomo's pyre. 12 winters of words pooling ink black and unsent. The 9th hour bell groans, its bronze tongue worn thin from counting your regrets. You scratch the first character, a knife slash of ink declaring yesterday's snow. Mainstream fact incoming. Clan records confirm Masako wrote 18 letters annually, all addressed to a grave that never answered. Modern X-rays prove she reused each scroll multiple times, palimpsests of grief and scheming. Quill meets paper in jagged dances, battle reports twist into love sonnets mid-sentence. The Orochi clan folds like wet rice paper. Remind me how your hands. The fragment lingers, half strategy, half lullaby. Your joke to yourself. Wartime mergers and conjugal mergers both require burying sharp objects. A moth drowns in the inkstone, you fish it out with a hairpin. Wings still fluttering. They're drawn to light. We're drawn to ashes. You murmur, another letter opening Yoritomo won't read. Historians still argue whether these pages held codes for spies or just a widow's raw nerve. The truth curdles somewhere between. Your maidservant enters with charcoal brazier, eyes politely averted from treasonous endearments. She mistake your battle maps for art. Lady Masako paints such bold landscapes. You let the lie hang. Better than explaining siege formations to someone who thinks forks are newfangled sorcery. Midnight chill warps the parchment. Your words blur as if viewed through ice. You switch to dagger scratches on wax tablets. Temporary thoughts for a permanent ghost. Archaeologists will someday mislabel these as grocery lists. 100 arrows. Silk thread. Forgive me. A draft snuffs the candle. You relight it, using embers from Yoritomo's ancestral shrine. The irony isn't lost. His eternal flame now kindles confessions he'd have burned alive for hearing. Quirky tidbit. Temple ledgers show an unexplained hoarding of candle wicks during Masako's reign, enough to string across the Kanto plain twice. You describe the frost rebellion's end. Pause at the memory of blood freezing mid-spurt. The brush veers sideways. Our youngest son has your laugh. I hate him for it sometimes. Blot the sentence quick. Let the stain become a mountain range on parchment. Rain taps Morse code against the roof. You answer by sketching troop movements along the margin. Little known fact. 3 letters contain precise recipes for gunpowder, disguised as cooking instructions for gullible couriers. Western scholars will spend centuries debating boil saltpeter with honeyed plums as either genius or menstrual cramp remedies. A spider lowers itself onto the desk. You grant it sanctuary between an I miss you and a cavalry tally. Let future poets spin metaphors about webs connecting love and war. You're too busy feeding the creature, a dead fly from your sleeve. Dawn inches closer. The letters now bear underlines only drunks and desperate generals use. The Terra rise again circles into remember that storm at Mishima Pass. Your tent flooded, and memory blurs with metaphor. Truth drowns in the unsaid. You seal the latest scroll with plum blossom wax. Press a thumbnail into the cooling pool. The imprint emerges, a tiny half-moon, signature of a woman who's forgotten how to sign her own name. Pigeon coos break the stillness. You tie the letter to its leg with a warrior's knot. It's the 12th bird this month. 12th flight toward a headstone that doubles as your confessional. Historians will find skeletal remains in Kyoto's ruins, tiny scrolls still knotted to bird ribs. The maidservant returns, catches you whispering to the departing bird. Her eyes widen at the tenderness. You counter by barking orders about rinsing inkwells. Reputations are brittle things, best to shatter doubt before it crystallizes. Sunrise gilds your desk, the night's work reduced to 3 phrases. Ash unanswered. Still, you bury the wax tablets under floorboards already sagging with secrets. Modern renovators wince at the structural damage. Mutter about termites while extracting your 800-year-old gossip. Final candle gutters out. Its smoke curls into the shape of a long dead profile. You blow the vision apart. Watch it reform twice before daylight breaks the spell. Love letters. You scoff to the empty room. Just casualty reports with prettier margins. The last page flutters into a bronze brazier, edges charring into migratory geese. 10 seconds. 20. You snatch it back. Slap away embers feasting on the word always. Burn the rest, but keep that scrap tucked between breastplate and heartbeat. Bells toll the morning watch you rise. Warrior again. Widow still. The unsent words nestle beneath armor. Next week's battle plans already overriding tonight's vulnerability. Some truths only travel in one direction, straight down, through ribs, into the quiet where regrets pool. Lamplight glows through rice paper screens. Your fingers crush hawthorn berries into crimson paste. Petal pigment stains the mortar. 5 parts vermilion, 3 parts lies. Across the chamber, 12 court ladies arrange chrysanthemums with military precision, their hairpins catching firefly glints. Mainstream fact sliding in sideways. The Hōjō clan's female spies were so effective. Rival warlords banned floral deliveries during wartime. Doesn't matter your network now uses radish carvings at markets. Count the stamens, not the petals, you remind Lady AI. Her trembling hands snap off a peony's head. She'll learn they always do. Yesterday's lesson, using crabbable branches to map mountain passes. Tomorrow's, conceiving silk tube messages inside hair buns. A maid enters with sweet flag roots. You pluck one, carve a crescent moon into its flesh. Quirky alert. Excavations found pickled vegetables in Masako's palace, with tactical codes etched under the brine. Scholars debated for decades whether they were battle plans or really intense dinner menus. Your faction never sends written orders. Imperial guards linger everywhere, so you teach the language of bent stems and trimmed thorns. 3 azaleas facing North Mean gather forces. Wilted lotus blossoms scream betrayal. The shogun's spies sniff scrolls. Never think to smell the roses. A laugh escapes muffled as Lady Fuji accidentally stabs her arrangement with a Tonto dagger. Her fern placement had been atrocious anyway. Better to restart. Aesthetics matter, even in treason, you chide. Plucking a spider lily from the wreckage. Night breeze carries the scent of defeat, someone's burning siege logs nearby. You adjust the shoji screen, let charcoal flecks settle on your hydrangeas. 32 ash specks, 16 per bloom, the exact number of troops lost at Kyuzuryu Gorge. Lady Chiyo approaches, her iris bouquet tilted southwest. Clever girl, she's woven horsetail grass through the stems. The message prickles your palms. Enemy cavalry sighted near tidal flats. You reward her with a single orchid clipping. The universal code for poison their oats. Giggles erupt by the veranda. 2 junior spies compare hair ornaments. One sports a silver egret pin with detachable wings. Perfect for smuggling rice paper notes. The other, a jade comb sharpened to shiv-like points. Historians still argue whether these ladies were trained assassins or just really committed accessories enthusiasts. Dawn leaks through shutters. You dismantle the morning's masterpiece. Redistribute petals into seeming randomness. A messenger kneels, presents a gift of apricot blossoms from the Fujiwara. 3 flowers, 2 buds, 1 leaf with beetle holes. Translation: their general takes 2 concubines, bathes at the first bell. Vulnerable, you rebuild the bouquet with added thistles, code for ambush at bath time. The messenger departs. oblivious to how floral design just rewrote tomorrow's casualty lists. Rain drums the roof. You drip indigo dye onto camellia leaves. Watch it pool into coastline shapes. Quiver in your voice. No one needs to know. The Arachi fleet anchors here, where the stain spreads widest. Lady Sayori copies the pattern into her own arrangement. Adds pine needles for archers. Rumor claims you once smuggled an entire invasion plan inside a floating peony display. Truth, you did, but the peonies died mid-transit, forcing allies to attack based on educated guesses. Still, one foliage gets too much credit. Midnight interrogation. A captured spy kneels amid crushed petals. You question him gently. Offer tea in a cup lined with wolfsbane petals. He talks. Thinks the daker's merely decorative. Jokes on him the real poison in the sugar cakes shaped like lotus buds. Your ladies practice blending into garden parties, their laughter laced with tactical updates. One fans herself with maple leaves. Each vein represents a corrupt official. Another adjusts her obi, tightening the knot that signals kill order confirmed. The emperor himself sends a congratulatory bonsai, unaware its twisted branches outline his own palace's weak points. You reciprocate with a cherry sapling, roots deliberately bound. Your silent promise to strangle his regime slowly. Harvest moon blooms overhead. You release paper lanterns shaped like war banners. Each carries a single coated flower. Your spies pluck them mid-flight under cover of celebration. 60 lanterns, 60 fresh orders dispersing through the dark. By the 12th bell, only wilting stems remain. You burn them in a brazier, smoke coiling into the constellation of your dead husband's favorite battle formation. Ashes rise, the scent of decomposing roses masking something sharper, something like victory. Smoke from yesterday's floral pyre still clings to your robes. Charred rose petals crunch underfoot as you climb the watchtower. Below, your third son's banners flutter like wounded birds. Crimson silk bleeding into twilight. 17 mounted samurai flank him, their armor clinks like temple donation boxes. You count the hate in their postures. 4 parts ambition, 2 parts boyish hurt. Mainstream fact time. Masako historically supported her second son's claim over the third. But textbooks skip how she wept into her war fan afterward. Tonight's rebellion stinks of teenage bravado. He's brought no siege engines. Just those damn ceremonial arrows tipped with peacock feathers. Lower the bridge. His voice cracks through the dusk. You lean over ramparts, spot the childhood scar peeking above his chest plate. That time he fell chasing fireflies. Historians still argue whether you ordered archers to aim for his horse or his hubris. Why not both? Your maids tense behind you, hairpins poised to become improvised weapons. Lady Fuji whispers how his troops drank from a contaminated stream, their bellies already churning with dysentery tea. You shush her. Too easy. Let him think he's cunning. He knocks an arrow, releases it into the gate's cedar planks. A flutter of iridescence quivers at your eye level. Message received. Remember when you taught me this shot. You pluck the shaft, snap it like a wishbone. Ash drifts from your sleeve, yesterday's burned flowers becoming today's omen. Quirky alert. Local folktales claim the Hōjō gates repelled attackers because Masako mixed crushed pearls into the lacquer. Truth, you used fermented persimmon glue. Sticks better and smells like regret. His men torch a peasant hut, orange flames lick the night. A show of force, or a son screaming, "Look at me." You signal the drummers. Their cadence copies his childhood lullaby. 3 fast beats, too slow, the rhythm that once rocked him to sleep. His horse rears, whether from emotion or your spy's sneaky caltrops. Who's to say? You grip the parapet, taste iron where your teeth pierce cheek flesh. A mother's calculus. 324 garrison troops versus 1 stubborn boy. The math never works in your favor. He shouts about stolen birthrights, voice fraying like poorly spun thread. You glance at Lady Sayori, she nods, pulls the hidden lever. Moat gates creak open. River water surges into the dry ditch below. His stallion staggers in the sudden current, foam splashing those gilded greaves. You can't drown me in paperwork this time. He roars, trying to sound like his father. Sweet Kami. He even mimics Yoritomo's lip curl. Your laugh comes out a wet cough, maybe the night air. Maybe something broken inside. Torchlight glints on his helmet's deer antlers, that awful trophy from his first hunt. You'd warned him. Antlers snag. In battle, they're death. Now they tremble like skeletal hands, reaching for mercy or forgiveness. Your archers exhale, bowstrings singing in unison. Flames spread through the village, thatch crackles a nursery rhyme. You track the fire's path, straight toward the granaries. Clever boy, using your own scorched earth tactics against you. A messenger materializes at your elbow, 12 years old, trembling, voice high as a samisen string. The Eastern battalions beg orders, my lady. You pluck a hairpin, press its cool metal to your tongue. Decision coagulates, burn the rice stores. Gasps ripple through your advisors, starvation grips the region already. But a mother's lesson must be absolute. Never bring a torch to a wildfire. The child runs. His sandals slap the exact rhythm of your son's first steps. You turn back to the battlefield. Find him staring up. Face slick with river water or tears. His lips shape a word you choose not to hear. When the fire arrows come, they're yours. Watch them arc golden scars across the sky. The gates hold. Scorch marks blooming where oak meets flame. His shouts turn raw. Raw turns silent. Dawn finds charred feathers sticking to the moat's surface. Little veined things, delicate as his eyelashes at birth. Peasants later whisper how you stood there till midday. Fingers combing through ashes, collecting arrow fragments like lost baby teeth. But that's the trouble with ballads. They romanticize the cleanup. Truth is, you vomited over the wall. Then dictated 6 new trade policies before lunch. The temple bells toll 17 times that evening, one for each mounted warrior who fell, or maybe just the wind. Thin fog licks your sandals as you patrol the battlefield's aftermath, mud sucking at your soles like a guilt you refuse to name. Villagers scavenge arrowheads, melt down the lead for fishing weights. A child plucks a peacock feather from a carcass, its iridescence dulled by blood, and you almost smile. Pretty colors can't camouflage consequences. Weeks blur, rice paddies stink of drowned corpses, your no flooding during harvest rule temporarily suspended. Peasants whisper when your palanquin passes. The nun warlord dines on stillborn foals. Her teeth shine too white for flesh. Let them talk. Truth is, your molars ache from grinding rebellion dreams into powder. Mainstream history moment. Records confirm Masako mobilized troops through coded sermons, but never credit how she bribed monks with stolen Nara temple wine. You uncork a jug now, pour 3 drops for dead sons, 7 for living regrets. The vintage tastes like vinegar and bad decisions. New moon. Your scouts report enemy forces massing northeast, rumors of torch clusters bright enough to shame the stars. You scoff. Spread maps weighted with dagger pommels. They'll march through Oga Pass, you murmur. Tracing the Bottleneck Valley, Lady Sayori frowns. Our spies say they're taking the coastal route. Historians still argue whether you outsmarted them or manipulated your own advisors to test loyalty. Either way, you order the pass salted, not for strategy. Seasonal floods would have done the work. But poetry demands dramatic gestures. Let future scholars dissect the symbolism. Dawn reveals 2,000 troops trapped in the narrow gorge, their brass helmets winking like fireflies in a jar. Your archers perch on lichen-crusted cliffs, raining down Teppo arrows instead of fire. Why burn what you can suffocate with sheer numbers? Quirky bit incoming. Excavation teams in 1921 found 17 intact helmets from this battle, each stuffed with moldy rice balls. Conservationists debate provisions or ritual offerings. You know the truth. Hungry boys hiding rations from officers. Greed outlives empires. The siege lasts 9 days. On the 10th, a fog thicker than funeral ash swallows the valley. Your sentries swear they hear hoofbeats, not the clop of living steeds, but the wet squelch of spectral flesh hitting mud. A scout returns wild-eyed. Claims he saw your war banner floating riderless, the Hōjō crest glowing like cursed bioluminescence. You hike your robes, stride into the mist, let them see nun's garb, the dagger at your waist. Apparitions should respect proper dress codes. A shape materializes, your old mare, euthanized after the Frost Rebellion, her ribcage glistening through translucent skin. She nudges your palm, cold as river stones in winter. Back at camp, soldiers cross themselves, monks chant louder. You draft a letter to the enemy general, cease by sundown, or join the ghost cavalry. Lady Sayori hesitates. Will they believe it? You seal the scroll with persimmon glue. It'll smell like their grandmother's funeral sweets. They surrender at twilight. You almost feel cheated. No grand showdown. Just trembling conscripts kissing your hem. The real victory. Farmers start leaving rice offerings at crossroads, little bamboo cups steaming under moonlight. Protection money for the afterlife. Your spies infiltrate Kyoto taverns. Spread better stories. Soon the capital buzzes about Masako's nightly rides, how she hunts traitors' souls with a naginata made of frozen starlight. Inventive, though you'd prefer a proper steel blade. Dying men claim your war cry sounds like temple bells, or maybe death rattles. Who's checking? Winter brings fresh rebellions and fresh nonsense. Rivals claim you cursed their horses with barren wombs, that your shadow walks 3 paces ahead of your body. You lean into the rumors, order armor polished to mirror brightness. Let them fight their own reflections. The best tale. A woodcutter insists he saw you broker peace between fox spirits and mountain kami. Your mediation sealed with shared sake. Truth is, you did get drunk that one night, but the treaty part, poetry writes itself. Your cough worsens, physicians prescribe ground pearl. You request stronger wine. They don't need to know about the blood-speckled handkerchiefs, or how your reflection sometimes winks while your face stays still. Sleep comes fitfully, dreams of Yoritomo laughing as you outpace his ghost. That damn lip curl finally fading. On your 73rd birthday, a peasant girl gifts you straw dolls tied with black silk. For your army, she mumbles, eyes huge with terror or awe. You display them in the strategy room, tiny soldiers guarding parchment frontiers. Not a bad start. Tonight, frost etches Kamen crests on your window. The watch fires seem dimmer, or maybe your vision's failing. Doesn't matter. Let them think you're half specter already. A legend crusted over reality like barnacles on a warship's hull. Your heartbeat thrums 1 part blood, 3 parts myth, and a stubborn sliver that still hopes for spring. The temple bell tolls, as always, unanswered. 70 winters weigh your bones like soaked silk armor straps, biting shoulders that memorized every rebellion's ache. You hang the cuirass on a ceremonial rack. Its once mirrored plates, now fogged with breath and betrayal. The novice's robe scratches worse than anticipated, scratchier than that ill-advised hedgehog skin armor from the Aizu campaign. Monks chant purification, rites their incense, failing to mask the blood iron scent in your hair. Acolytes stare at your hands, expected delicate nuns' gestures. Not these calloused palms that once snapped a traitor's neck during tea ceremonies. You slip the sacred beads over your wrist, the dagger beneath them resting against pulse points. Old habits, older enemies. Historians agree you took Buddhist vows this day, but none mention how you negotiated the temple's land, rites mid-ritual. The head priest stammered through your initiation. while your lawyers haggled tax exemptions in the cloister. Enlightenment comes in many forms. Your new cell smells of green wood and regret. A pine beam creaks above the same timber from your childhood home's ruined dojo. Coincidence? You pocket a wood splinter, future kindling, for suspicious fires. The bedroll's thin enough to remind you of battlefield bivouacs. If bivouacs included penitent psalms and mice nibbling toenails, rumors sprout before morning prayers. Farmers swear they saw you burying weapons under the bell tower, or maybe just urinating compost for turnips. You let them gossip, planting misinformation with each pretend stumble. A passing nun gasps as your accidental toe kick reveals a loose floorboard, perfect for hiding message scrolls. Oops. The dagger becomes a bedtime ritual, polishing blade edge while reciting sutras, your favorite koan. What's the difference between a prayer and a threat when both cut the soul? Scholars still argue whether you truly retired or weaponized monastic life, the answers carved into your coffin's false bottom. But that's tomorrow's problem. Winter numbs your sword hand until even chopsticks feel treacherous. You take meals alone, surreptitiously testing grip strength on roasted radishes. One snaps too clean, the sound echoes like a young lieutenant's spine during that messy coup. The kitchen staff finds you laughing, tears streaking cold broth. Hear that? No, not the wind through bamboo groves. Listen closer, a messenger's footfall, 11 li west. Too heavy for imperial couriers, too rhythmic for bandits. You pretend to doze by the hearth fingers, counting dagger strokes in the air. 3 assassins. 5. Midnight chill seeps through paper walls. You accidentally leave your window unlatched, humming a lullaby about headless generals. The intruders freeze when their shadows cross your bedding, empty, except for a single peach pit. Your laughter floats from the rafters. Their confusion tastes sweeter than Sakura wine. Quirky detail alert. Modern X-rays of your coffin revealed 9 hidden blades, all disguised as hair ornaments. Conservators wept at the craftsmanship. You'd have pawned them for a decent horse. Dawn finds you tending persimmon trees, digging fertilizer into roots with a trowel. Or is it a repurposed tanto knife? Tomato. The gardener pales as you explain crop rotation using battle formation diagrams. By noon, half the monks are repelling imaginary raids with hoes. Visitors come, sons bearing grudges, daughters seeking blessings. You bless their swords instead. A toddler presents a wooden duck, its head removable for hid-den messages. Clever girl. You slip a jade hairpin into her swaddling clothes, future investment. The abbess complains about your unorthodox meditation techniques. You offer to demonstrate a shinobi's breathing exercises. She flees when the wall scrolls shiver without wind. Not your fault she skipped breakfast. Rice deprivation weakens the spirit. Rainy season brings mold and memories. Your left knee predicts storms better than any court astrologer. The old fracture from the Battle of Uji Bridge singing in damp air. Priests interpret your grimaces as holy ecstasy. Start taking notes. By autumn, half the monasteries limping for enlightenment. You attend vespers to people watch, not pray. Note who flinches at thunder, potential cowards. Spot whose palms bear sword calluses, hidden agendas. A novice drops a scripture. His fumble speed suggests shuriken training. You file the detail along with his taste in lovers. Harvest Moon Festival. Drunk monks compose bad poetry about your serene aura. You slip hawthorn berries into their sake. Let them purge delusions literally. The latrines hum for days. The dagger stays warm in winter, as if bloodshed left permanent fever. You press it to your cheek during blizzards. Imagine it's Yoritomo's mocking breath. Shared delusions for shared graves. One night, a familiar silhouette blocks your cell's moonlight. The intruder wears your dead son's face, or a spy skilled in theater makeup. You yawn, gesture to the locked scriptures cabinet. Diarrhea remedies are on the left. He hesitates, blade wavering. You snap your prayer beads, 88 clattering distractions. The dagger finds his thigh before his next breath. Still got it. Interrogation reveals a northern clan's desperation and terrible taste in poisons. You let him limp back home, trailing clues for your spies to follow. Snow falls, muffling bells and betrayal alike. Your breath fogs the scripture you're supposedly transcribing, secretly drafting supply routes for spring offensives. The Abbey's youngest acolyte peaks. You let her glimpse a kanji. Let the court wonder why children sketch battle formations in the dirt. Sakura blossoms arrive early, pink petals clinging to straw sandals. You pocket one, press it into your final's wax seal. Poetic and slightly sticky, the temple bells toll, unanswered. The plague comes with the wet season, its fingers slipping through temple shutters during fifth-month rains. Your first symptom, trembling hands that mimic prayer, until scrolls scatter like panicked birds. Priests burn sandalwood to purify air, thick with death-sweat musk. It mixes with your fever's metallic tang. You recognize the fever's rhythm, same cadence as the Takato Castle siege drums. But this time, no loopholes for escape. Advisors cluster outside your cell, their whispers trickle through walls. The shogunate needs guidance. The Northern Alliance fractures. Your grandson claims visions of your ghost. You hurl a teacup at the door, shards skittering like disgraced spies. Let them chew on that parable. Mornings blur, parchment swims beneath sightless eyes. A scribe presses your palm to inkstone, your shaking fingers trail crimson across surrender treaties. Nightmares and statecraft merge. You dictate troop movements through gritted teeth, map borders with phlegm-stained cloths. Historians'll call it delirium. You call it multitasking. Swollen tongue silences your famed wit. When generals beg for orders, you snap chopsticks into battle formations on your sick mat. Young retainers misinterpret the 3 broken east signal accidentally sparking a rice warehouse raid. Oops, at least someone's having fun. Your left leg betrays you first, numbness creeping up the thigh like Kaizo's betrayal in 98. Priests chant sutras for dying nobles. You interrupt with crude gestures, demanding more blankets. The novice mistake your middle finger for Madras symbolism. Starts a new meditation trend. Modern CT scans of your remains show arsenic in the bone marrow. Conspiracy theorists claim assassination. Reality's duller. Every warlord's bloodstream was basically a periodic table. Sunset stains your cell the color of old blood. A masked physician prods your neck, his breath reeking of garlic and fear. You grab his wrist, weakness be damned, and trace a war camp's coordinates on his palm. He flees, but not before memorizing the map. Rat-a-tat-tat, someone's tapping Morse code before Morse existed. YOUR Chinese letter network's last message. All bridges burned, except the secret one you ate. Cryptic, but you'll take it. You laugh into the pillow, spitting black phlegm that bubbles like onsen mud. They bring the boy shotgun for final blessings. His silk robes outshine yours, smell like imported narcissus oil. You seize his collar, drag him nose to nose. His pupils dilate, finally showing Hōjō steel beneath the cologne. Good. You spit a jade bead into his palm, the dynasty's last encrypted treasury code. Hours ooze like spilled mercury. Acolytes swear your shadow fights unseen enemies. Wall flickers, showing ghost samurais mid-battle. You're too busy drowning to notice. Each breath's a negotiated treaty between lungs and plague. Midnight monks chant the Deathless Sutra. You counter with a wet gurgle of kill them all. The gods will sort the bodies. Faiths for people with time. Dawn cracks the horizon. Your left eye clots with burst vessels. Shapes blur into useful delusions. Advisors become crows. Scrolls writhe into nooses. You claw at the air fingernails, sketching fortress blueprints only you can see. The scribe returns quill poised. You croak one syllable, a wet click mistaken for water. He miswrites it as war, closer to the truth. Fever sharpens your ears. That's not rain on the roof. It's the Minamoto cavalry's hoofbeats from 85. You grin. Yoritomo's ghost waits by the latrine door, palm outstretched. Took you long enough. Your final gesture, 2 fingers swiping leftward, a battlefield flanking maneuver. Advisors debate for hours. Declare it a holy madra for cleansing sins. They enshrine the motion in temple dances. You'd haunt them, but paperwork awaits in the afterlife. Last breath escapes as a half-formed curse, dissolving into the reedy wheeze monks will call enlightened release. Lies taste sweeter than truth when carved into history. Rain washes the death stench from your cell. Priests air out bedding where your corpse lay. None notice the pillows stitching, the hidden compartment now empty. The dagger's gone. Old habits, older legends. The pyre smoke should draw on mourners, but Kamakura's streets lie quieter than a shamed samurai's estate. You'd call it insulting if you weren't busy decomposing. Monks wrap your body in raw silk, the same bolt you'd stockpiled for arrow fletching. Waste of good combat supplies. Crows descend. At noon, black clouds, rippling like samurai banners. Peasants swear they count precisely 888 birds, one for each battle you commanded. Historians note the Hōjō clan traditionally used crow messengers, but never admit you trained them to steal enemy correspondence. Your funeral cart creaks uphill, oxen lowing at the stench. No priests chant, no relatives fake sobs, just the creak of wheels and beaks snapping at flies. A stray mutt trots alongside. You'd recognize that mange anywhere. Fed him a Sahara's severed ear during the 95 famine. Loyalties grotesque like that. They reach the crypt carved into volcanic rock, your final retreat. Stonemasons etched protective hexes above the entrance and discreet drainage channels for flooding. Practicality over pomp. Pallbearers lay your shroud on the altar flinch when something clinks inside. Too late to check, monks seal the tomb with concrete mixed with your grandson's tears. Cute touch. The crows alight in unison, a feathered canopy darkening the burial mound. Farmers later swear the birds dipped their heads. One bony pilgrim claims they cawed Hōjō in raspy unison. Fringe theorists cite this as proof of your avian reincarnation. Mainstream scholars roll their eyes, but avoid citing their correlated nightmares from grad school. Nightfall brings the real spectacle. Townsfolk whisper your ghost paces the tomb's perimeter, blade glinting in moonlight. Morning proves them half right. Footprints circle the crypt, but they're hoofprints. Someone's strategic donkey rental remains unaccounted for. Monks discover the theft at dawn, your ceremonial dagger missing from the shroud. They blame rogue ninja, forgetting you'd bribed the abbot's tailor to sew escape routes into every garment. A novice confesses to hearing bronze wings in the crypt. Historians still argue whether it was spirit crows or your old habit of hiding lockpicks in prosthetic cranes. Absence becomes your final power move. The shogunate issues 5 edicts about tomb security, then quietly adopts your old Dekui crypt tactic. Your grandson visits monthly, leaving persimmons that rot untouched. Crows feast, though, and isn't that the same as forgiveness? Centuries later, ground-penetrating radar shows your crypts hollow, except for a single iron chest too corroded to open. X-rays reveal humanoid shapes inside, but they're just your moldering war fans dressed in doll kimonos. Archaeologists debate their ceremonial purpose, while YouTube ghost hunters swear the fans still twitch during equinoxes. Rain erodes the tomb's epitaph until only 3 characters remain: shadow, rain, and a debated third that might mean regret or radish. Poets spin tragedies from it, unaware you'd scrawled the memo mid-siege about bad farm crops. Farmers still avoid the tomb's leeward side, claiming crochet their fertilizes only thistles and spite. Botanists blame the acidic soil, but locals know better. Your disdain for agriculture's in every spiked seed pod. One teenage daredevil breaks in during Taisho era, finds the crypt empty, except for a child's wooden sword and a half-eaten umeboshi plum. Tests date the plum to your burial year, though food historians insist the preservation's impossible. The boy grows up to found a cult mixing Marxism and crow worship. You'd hate it, which means he got something right. At your 1000th death anniversary, drones film crows dropping pebbles on the tomb, exactly 888 stones. Biologists call it seasonal nest building. Viewers count 7 million livestream likes. Your true epitaphs etched where no shovel reaches. In the way widows still hide knives in their obies, the pause generals take before trusting a clear sky, the particular silence of a room after someone lies about surrender. History rewrites endings, but never the middle. The crows at least bow. Bureaucrats nearly choke on their morning tea when your edicts start arriving, postmarked 8 decades post-mortem. The first scroll appears 12 winters after your empty crypt becomes a tourist trap, nestled inside a Kyoto magistrate's rice steamer. His cooks mistake it for dinner orders, until they spot the Hōjō clan's twin dragon seal. You always preferred stationary with flair. The decree's straightforward. All heirs building taller than 3 stories must install crow perches or forfeit their right to moat maintenance. Architects panic, calculating ornamentation costs. Historians later note this matches Kamakura building codes from your regency, though none explain how feudal standards surfaced in 1356. Tax records, more scrolls follow, each timed for maximum annoyance. A monsoon season manifesto mandates umbrella inspections for all infantry. A harvest moon missive bans turnip cultivation near SHRINE, Chinese letter. Scholars pore over your ink's composition, discover traces of lapis lazuli and fermented plums. The formula matches residue on your burial shrouds, stitching. Your heirs try burning the documents, only to find the flames sputter into shapes resembling your profile. A courtier's diary complains. Lady Hōjō's ghost writes faster than our scribes can copy. True legends know you'd pre-written centuries' worth, hid them in drainage pipes, sake barrels, even the emperor's pagoda weather vane. The shogunate's solution: create a ministry of posthumous affairs staffed by deaf mutes. It goes poorly. Your next scroll arrives as tattoo stencils on their silk underrobes. The edict's succinct: stop wasting good fabric. Modern carbon dating confirms the bizarre truth. Each parchment ages naturally despite anachronistic content. One 1413 scroll references Portuguese trade ships 80 years before they reached Japan. Theorists suggest you bribed time-traveling monks. Mainstream historians blame sloppy forgers. Watchmakers get hit hardest. Your 1489 law of mechanical sparrows requires all clocks to to chirp hourly, using actual bird cadences. Craftsmen bribe Zen masters to interpret your definitions of sparrow versus bush warbler. The resulting lawsuits bankrupt 3 noble houses. Your piece de resistance surfaces in 1600, a marriage contract binding Tokugawa Ieyasu's great-granddaughter to a Hōjō cousin. The future shogun splutters, then notices the document's seals match his family's hidden crests. The wedding proceeds with extra crow perches. Debate rages in academia lounges. Did you really plan 5 centuries ahead? Or did descendants forge orders to legitimize power grabs? The truth whispers through archive halls. Your handwriting changes subtly every 70 years, as if someone's practicing. Salarymen today still feel your influence. That mandatory tea breaks after triple overtime. Your 1672 edict enforced it, punishable by mandatory poetry recitals. Office drones thank you through clenched teeth during spreadsheet marathons. A 1980s construction crew uncovers your final twist. Microscopic text on a Hyanira scroll demands royalties for every NHK samurai drama. Lawyers cite expired statutes. Producers add consulting fees to their budgets anyway. Your greatest trick, making bureaucracy haunt harder than any ghost. Tax forms quote your strategies for rice levy loopholes. Pension plans echo your widow's stipend policies. Even now, crows gather outside Parliament, each bearing a single blank scroll in their beaks. The dead steer the living. Please, you're still driving. Rain-drenched pilgrims trudge up Kamakura's mossy path, their lanterns guttering against the pre-dawn dark. You've let them stew 20 years since your death. Let the incense pile high at your supposed grave. The stone crypt gapes open, revealing a sword-shaped hollow, and autumn leaves arranged like a sleeping child. Your shroud lies perfect and empty, no body, only moth-wing fragments clinging to the silk. A novice monk swears he saw crows carry something metallic into the clouds last equinox. His superior blames moldy rice wine, but temple records show 3 sacred swords vanished that same night. Historians note this matches your will's final line. My blade serves living justice, not dead hands. Mainstream texts claim grave robbers struck, though nothing else was taken. The leaves, an artisan's prank using persimmon-dyed paper. You'd laugh at their simplicity. Armchair theorists get creative. A 19th century bestseller claims you faked death to lead a ninja coven in Hokkaido. Modern bloggers swear your tomb's GPS coordinates align with Atlantis, ignoring Japan's tectonic plate shifts. The wildest rumor, you're frozen in a secret Swiss vault, awaiting cloning tech. Docent tour grow theatrical. Note the lack of corpse mold. Guides shout, while somber visitors pocket pebbles from your crypt's floor. These turn up later in divorce settlements, stamped with your clan crest. Court fees surge nationwide. Scientists have theories too. A Tokyo lab claims your remains evaporated spontaneous silk combustion. Peer reviews call it romanticized hokum. Chemists mumble about alkaline soils dissolving bone, until someone finds preserved azaleas growing through your burial slab. The leaves spark their own cult. Followers brew them as tea, insisting the tannins bring prophetic dreams. A vlogger documents her Masako detox, ends up writing feudal tax codes in her sleep. Her Patreon crashes from medieval law trivia demands. Your true stroke of genius. The vanishing's timing. Emptying your grave during the Great Famine of 1334 distracted warlords from invading Kamakura. Starving troops abandoned sieges to chase your ghost, only to find well-stocked shrine storehouses en route. Historians still argue whether this was strategy or serendipity. A Kyoto professor's paper claims you orchestrated both famine and distraction. Rice shipment ledgers from your era show suspicious deficits. Counterarguments note 90% of those records burned in 1392. Convenient. No. Devotees petition to canonize you. Buddhist authorities demur. Your alleged apparition starts appearing at convenience stores, buying peach jelly cups and lecturing cashiers on fortress hydraulics. Security footage shows only static, but the register always gains extra yen afterward. Artisans cash in. Edo period forgeries of your sword fetch millions, until X-rays expose bicycle parts welded inside. A reality show features Masako's crypt survivor. Contestants meditate in replica tombs. Ratings soar when a disgraced politician confesses to tax fraud mid-episode. The leaves themselves develop fan clubs. Each autumn, pilgrims scramble to collect new ones from your grave. They arrive daily despite no nearby trees. Spectral landscaping at its finest. Scientists confirm the leaves match 14th century flora and contain trace honey from extinct Japanese bees. Your final joke lands centuries late. In 2001, workers repairing your crypt find tiny characters carved underneath, listing every visitor since 1335. Names include emperors, revolutionaries, even that novelist who trashed your policies in 1891. The lesson: never insult a strategist's marble mattress. Now pilgrims lick the walls, hoping residual wisdom seeps through their tongues. Guards post signs. No tasting historical sites. Teens dare each other to sleep inside. Wake up reciting artillery deployment charts. Scholars weep over the real mystery. Why your burial slab bears claw marks, ascending. Tour groups depart uneasy, pockets heavier, with stolen pebbles, minds buzzing with unanswerable questions. Behind them, the crypt's shadow stretches longer than physics allows. Dust motes dance in the council chambers, slatted light, 37 generations. Worth of broken promises clinging to the rafters. Your great-granddaughter kneels too straight for court decorum, calloused hands smoothing a scroll that shouldn't survive. Its edges crinkle like dried skin until she reads aloud your words. Beneath silk, carry steel. Male cousins snicker into sleeves dyed with stolen indigo. Their laughter dies when armored nuns block every exit. Women they dismissed as seamstresses. One lord recognizes the blade at your descendants' hip. Your Tanto's chrysanthemum hilt now cracked with age. You serve cold rice and conspiracy, she tells the council, every syllable echoing your cadence. Tax ledgers tumble onto lacquered tables, proof of embezzled silk tariffs funding brothels. Historians will later document this as Japan's first audit by ambush. Though few mention the nuns' tear gas fans sewn from wedding kimonos. Palace sparrows bring whispers beforehand, this you know, but who expected the shogun's favorite concubine to be her informant? Modern recreations get this wrong, painting the girl as a knife-wielding seductress. Truth was simpler. She traded gossip for your descendants, handwritten permission slips to visit sick mothers. Power often pivots on pettiness. The regent tries a classic stall, will reconvene after the equinox festival. Your heir counters with your favorite tactic, enforced nostalgia. Servants roll in her wedding trousseau, its interior panels revealing battlefield maps of the compound. 73 secret passages glow in fermented squid ink. Historians still argue whether these were your original designs or her additions. Carbon dating's inconclusive. Someone scrubbed the parchment with green tea. A 2024 museum exhibit will claim it's a fake, until a volunteer finds your monogram under UV light, right beside a doodled crocodile eating a magistrate. Compromise comes via pickled plums. Your heir serves them poisoned, then offers the antidote alongside resignation papers. Two lords vomit artistically into bronze helmets. A third signs while gagging. His signature starts the Kamakura weeping calligraphy style, still taught under duress to naughty students. The quirky twist. Her coup's manifesto gets printed on washi paper made from your burial shrouds, moth fragments. Scholars initially dismiss this until aDNA analysis matches silk proteins to 14th century silkworms. Conspiracy forums explode. Masako's ghost moths control the government. You savor the irony. Women always wove history. Men were just louder weavers. Rebellion simmers in the provinces. Your heir nips it via your old ikebana trick, sending apology bouquets whose stems indicate troop movements. Warlords receive peonies, their stems bent 45 degrees northeast. By dawn, her cavalry's already burning their rice stores. One general switches sides mid-battle, lured by her promise of unlimited pickled ginger. His memoirs, rediscovered in a 1987 library sale, claim she quoted your siege of Karasaki verbatim. Detractors call it forgery, but the ramen stain on page 42 matches Edo period soybean paste. The final test comes when imperial envoys arrive, golden mandates glinting with fresh ink. Your heir greets them in full monastic robes, then strips to battle armor while reciting your death poem. Historians will sanitize this moment, erasing how she'd bribed the envoy's favorite male geisha to hide her swords. At dusk, she kneels where your crypt once stood. The ground still grows those suspiciously convenient leaves. Chew one, and your tongue tingles with maps to forgotten armories. Guards arrest 3 lawmakers that same night, found digging beneath a Kyogen theater with spoons. Morning brings uneasy peace. Councilwomen dismantle men's voting tablets, reforging the metal into temple bells. Their first chime sounds suspiciously like your childhood nickname, though audio analysts blame harmonic coincidences. By harvest time, farmers report grain prices falling for the first time in 80 years. Your heir credits fiscally responsible crop rotation. You know better, it's the fear of great-grandmothers watching from every shadow. The last rebel lord surrenders via haiku, his shaky brushstrokes betraying sake withdrawal. She accepts with a limerick, deliberately awful, then exiles him to write standardized testing scrolls. His descendants still run cram schools, traumatizing teenagers with your battle axioms. When priests complain about the nuns' new barracks, she donates your ceremonial palanquin as a peace offering. They don't realize its cedar panels hide 300 throwing needles until the autumn cleaning. You watch satisfied as another generation learns your central truth. Women don't rewrite history. We draft the footnotes first, then wait for men to mistake them for bedtime stories. Rain taps the archive's climate-controlled windows. Your breath fogs the glass as gloves hover over Exhibit 40-256, unearthed last Tuesday beneath Nara's Tadaijai temple. Love letters masquerading as supply manifests. The curator called it routine storage cleanup. You recognize battlefield poetry even through 12th century shorthand. Each scrap bears Masako's childhood name, Yasuko, dared only by family, and apparently this mystery general. His brush strokes soften on certain vowels, ink blotted where fingertips lingered too long. Modern scholars identified the writer as Tara no Tamamori's exiled nephew, though his personnel file suspiciously lacks a death date. The sketches gut you. Masako mid-laugh at a campfire. No austere matriarch here. A warrior loosens her top-knot hair, whipping sideways like unraveled midnight. Historians still argue whether these depict real intimacy or wartime propaganda for morale. The crude doodle of her kicking a helmet into Mount Fuji suggests someone appreciated her temper. Preservationists nearly discarded the papers, misreading bloodstains as rust from a nearby katana. Good thing the intern recognized petal shapes in the splatters, cherry blossom pollen mixed with iron. DNA tests matched no known noble families, just a single strand of gray hair caught in the binding thread. Your flashlight reveals hidden layers, poems backwards in the paper's grain. A love ballad about winter plums surviving frost becomes troop coordinates under magnification. Classic Masako, multitasking, romance, and military logistics in one draft. The forgery department spent weeks replicating the ink, failing to match its peculiar shimmer. Turns out he'd ground up firefly abdomens. Ninjas used that trick for night messages. Librarians filed these under agricultural records for protection. 8 centuries of mice ignored the tasty rice-based seals. Translators hit cultural snags, like his metaphor, comparing her to a misplaced Tonto. Debate rages, insult, or endearment. A Kyoto love hotel recycled the line last year, questionable marketing choice. The prize sits in room B7, a self-portrait of the general, charred at the edges. He's not handsome, but his eyes hold that I'll memorize your laugh between slaughtering enemies vibe. Restoration revealed an erased figure beside him, likely Masako herself. X-rays show she wore his helmet sideways, smirking like she'd stolen the moon. Conspiracy nuts fixate on letter 12's postscript. Burn this, unless the crows bring clover. Avian researchers confirm local crows do hoard lucky weeds. And coincidentally, Masako's crest had a 4-leaf design. The Toddler groundskeepers now toss clover patches near the dig site, just in case. You pocket a fallen petal from the display, harmless rebellion. Through the gift shop's exit, a flicker in the security mirror. For half a breath, your reflection wears a nun's cowl. Ice spreads down your spine until a clerk offers haunted letter replica stationery. The parking lot feels colder. Your car's defroster wheezes, sketching phantom petals on the windshield. As you drive away, glance back. Every temple lantern swings eastward, guiding something unseen towards those unsigned love notes. Rain starts again. Your wipers chant the rhythm of a name erased from history. Yasuko, 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 until highway noise swallows the sound. Bulldozers screech to a halt at 2 meters deep. That coppery tang isn't rust. Construction crews hit something older than Tokyo. A cellar packed with lacquered armor smelling of clove oil and old violence. Your hard hat's headlamp glints off tarnished menpo masks, each snarling mouth stuffed with salt-caked prayer strips. Workers whisper about midnight clanging, like phantom swordsmiths, forging weapons only the dead can wield. The site manager dismisses it as underground pipes. His crew quits when a backhoe bucket spills century-blackened rice, still steaming despite winter frost. Handling gloves stick to the first breastplate. Preservationists gasp at its crest. Masako's 4-leaf clover merged with another family's crane. Mainstream texts swore she never remarried. But here's proof she reworked a suitor's sigil into her own. Carbon dating places these at her 70th year, nearing death. Yet still armoring up, night guards report a recurring nightmare. A woman screaming behind stone walls. Except it's not a scream, it's laughter. Security footage shows shadow blurs around the excavation pit. One frame captures a handprint in the mud too small for any living worker. The star artifact defies explanation. A child-sized Kabuto helmet with Masako's clan marks. Historians still argue whether it belonged to a daughter lost young or a psychological warfare prop. Its scarlet cords bleed dye when touched, staining skin for days like war paint. Archaeologists uncover charred floor plans beneath the armory schematics for a never-built fortress. Its walls curve like temple bells, a genius defense against siege towers. Modern engineers ran simulations. Attackers would have starved before finding the gate. Temperatures drop near a sealed chest. Inside, 89 sealed letters addressed to a firefly watchman. Their wax seals bear teeth marks canine, not human. DNA matches wolf samples from Masako's exile region. X-rays reveal ladder rungs hidden in the paper's watermark. Maybe escape routes for spies. Local teens film ghost hunt reels at the site. Their live stream glitches every time they approach. The tool shed audience comments fill with frantic Japanese text. Auto-translate churns out phrases like purple stomach fire and regret arrows. The videos rack up millions of views, and a cease and desist order from the Imperial Household Agency. Work resumes with Buddhist monks chanting. Their sutras can't drown the metallic ping from below, like a sparring match in some underworld dojo. 3 Shinto priests collapse during purification rites. Their gohei wands snap mid-ceremony. The final straw comes when concrete foundations crumble overnight, replaced by perfectly laid hyaenira stones. Cranes topple trying to remove them. As the site reverts to ancient layouts, builders concede defeat. A plywood shrine pops up by morning. Workers slip in to leave energy drinks and motorcycle gloves. Your last visit coincides with a spring downpour. Rainbow oil slicks swirl in puddles, same iridescence as that firefly ink from Masako's letters. A security guard nods to the empty helmet display. Its velvet stand now holds a fresh clover crown. Traffic drones fade as you exit. Through the chain link fence, a silhouette leans on a bulldozer. Not a worker, the posture's all wrong. Sharp shoulders, a nun's hood, gone when the floodlights buzz on. Your Uber driver chats about that creepy excavation. You hum noncommittally, fingering the blister where helmet dye stained you. Maps app glitches. Route lines curl into 4-leaf patterns until you restart the phone. At home, news alerts pop up. The shrine's donation box overflowed with hyaenira coins overnight. Sleep comes uneasy. Dreams echo with a line from those wolf-chewed letters. Bury my steel where our roads might meet again. Morning reveals a clay-caked handprint on your balcony door, far above street level. You scrub it off. The residue smells of smelted iron and clove oil. Traffic crows gather on your fire, escape, each clutching a twig in their beaks. None of them caw, just tilt their heads as temple bells hum in the distance. A feather drifts inside when you open the window. Its veins spell Yasuko in microscopic characters. The feather crumbles when touched, leaving ash that spells Yasuko on your windowsill. You shake it off, but that name haunts Edo period playbills online. Clickbait headlines scream ghost lady warlord curses, ACTORS, accompanied by grainy woodblock prints of Masako breathing blue fire. Edo's theaters really did censor her. Mainstream records show kabuki troops needed government approval for historical plays. One 1714 decree specifically banning female regents portrayed as living. Actors resorted to code names, calling Masako the Lavender Strategist or Night Blooming Council. Miss the subtext. Tough luck, shogunate censors carried very sharp pens. Your inbox pings with an archived script draft. Page margins swarm with notes like make her more ghostly. And delete apricot orchard scene, too heroic. The climax features Masako's spirit possessing a teapot, which historians agree never happened. The one odd footnote claims a daimyo's kettle once boiled dry without fire. But let's not give conspirators ideas. Here's the creepy part. Actors playing evil Masako roles fell ill mid-run. A 1689 Productions lead developed vocal nodules. His famous death scene wheeze wasn't acting. Understudies fared worse. One's left arm went numb during the curtain call. The shogun's own physician diagnosed excess bile. But backstage, whispers talked of poisoned costumes. Plot twist. When scripts softened her into a tragic ghost, pining for Yoritomo, instead of conquering, the sicknesses stopped. An 1803 scroll brags how an actress's palsy vanished after rewriting Masako's final monologue. Coincidence? Maybe. Still, that playwright lived to 92, despite a lifetime of heavy drinking. Modern attempts fare stranger. A 2005 experimental theater group ignored the legends, staged Masako as a blood-drinking yokai. Their opening night coincided with Tokyo's worst blackout since 3 fire inspectors found chewed wires backstage. Bite marks too large for rats. The director switched to comedy, power restored during intermission. Historians still argue whether Masako's descendants funded positive portrayals, or if folklore warps collective memory. Your coffee cools as you scroll through polarized reviews. 1-star rants about migraines during battle scenes. 5-star gushes about tingling ancestral connections. A YouTube comment claims their cat bowed to the screen during Masako's first entrance. You check the video house cats do seem transfixed at 3:24. Sleep deprivation makes you test it. Cue up a university lecture on Edo censorship. Your neighbor's pug starts howling at the 19-minute mark. Coincidence solidifies into paranoia when incense smoke curls into 4-leaf clovers, the exact shape from those excavated armor crests. A museum intern DMs you leaked photos, censored play fragments hidden beneath wallpaper in an Osaka room. The ink glows under UV light maps of Kamakura, with Masako's troop movements annotated in vermilion. Oddly, the handwriting matches your stained balcony handprint. Let's call that sleep-deprived delusion and pivot. Tonight's experiment. Stream a band 1820s Bunraku puppet play. The digital restoration hits different. Masks rotate when paused, joints move without strings. 30 minutes in subtitles glitch into modern slang. Yoritomo sucks lol, declares Masako's cloth and wood counterpart. Commenters lose their minds until the video privatizes at 666 views. Headlines tomorrow will call it a hoax. You know better, those puppet eyes tracked your movements. And the smell of cloves and smelted iron lingering long after closing the laptop. Worse, your Notes app now has an unsaved file titled Yasuko's guest list. Every name corresponds to Edo actors who quit historical plays. The last entry updates in real time. Your social media handle blinks ominously. Through the wall, a neighbor's wind chime clangs like temple bells. You text a friend about the madness. They reply with Masako's Wikipedia photo. Her normally stern expression seems amused. Before you screenshot, the image reverts to standard glower. Final clue. A playbill slipped under your door tonight's show at a subway station bathroom. Act titles include Veiled Regent's Wi-Fi password and matcha-flavored betrayal. You're tempted. Oh, so tempted. But sanity clings like cheap lipstick. You bin the paper. The shreds rearrange themselves into a clover by morning. Above your desk, the stained ceiling crack now mirrors Masako's northern campaign route. Coincidence died 11 weirdness layers back. You brew tea with shaking hands. Steam forms a tiny helmet above the cup. Traffic crows gather again, this time dropping twigs in clover patterns. Your smartwatch buzzes, heart rate normal despite the chaos. Masako's real power move, making you question reality between grocery runs and TikTok scrolls. As dawn breaks, the cursed feather's ash reappears on your keyboard. This time it spells encore. The clover-shaped ash trembles, carrying the smell of molten gold and funeral incense. Your cursor blinks on encore until screen glare becomes sunrise. Outside, temple bells, not the usual neighborhood clangs. This resonance vibrates molars. Google Maps chokes, trying to locate the sound, directions, spiraling into a loading icon shaped like Masako's crest. Historical records confirm it. And Ryakujai Temple's bell ledger notes unexplained vibrations every March 18th. Masako's death date, monks chalked it up to hungry ghosts, until a seismology student recorded the tones in 9. Her thesis got buried, something about matching infrasound to human trauma frequencies. Your Uber driver refuses the mountain road, mutters about axle braking, lady samurai spirits. The hike up mossy steps feels guided. Fireflies ignite in daylight, each flash revealing carved warnings. Turn back, no photos, Dying here voided your warranty. Odd phrasing for 8th century temple grounds. Head priest Kakishin greets you with averted eyes, palms guarding his ringing smartphone. It does this near the bell tower, he sighs. The screen shows a waveform app spiking rhythmically, matching the distant bong, bong, bong. Historians still argue whether resonance physics or Masako's spirit triggers it. But Kakishin's cracked screen spells YASUKO in dead pixels. The bell hangs silent, no rope, no striker, green with oxidation. Yet your teeth rattle as vibrations build. A tourist's Fitbit shatters. Kakishin whispers. They replaced the original in 1342, smelted down her childhood hairpin. His sleeve rides up, revealing a clover-shaped burn matching your ceiling stain. At exactly 2:17 p.m., Masako's recorded death hour air pressure shifts. The bell rocks, humming her childhood name's 5-syllable cadence. Yasuko returns. Birds flee mid-caw, pine needles fall suspended, forming arrow patterns pointing north. Your phone autocorrects noodle recipe to obey the regent 3 times. Kakishin reveals the stupidest church souvenir. A bell fragment sold illegally until 98. Metallurgists found human DNA in the alloy, cross-referenced with Masako's descendants last year. Results inconclusive, or as the lab chief wrote, sample exhibited unexpected rhythmic conductivity. You pocket a fallen maple leaf, it vibrates like a muted phone. The descent feels longer, twilight arriving too fast. A park ranger's walkie-talkie blurts static, resolving into a woman's voice, reciting property deeds from 1212. Coordinates pop up on your GPS, directing you to a parking P3 tarmac, now housing a 6-story noodle shop. Home brings new quirks. Podcast apps autoplay Masako documentaries, always at 2:17 a.m. The Wikipedia section on her death now includes a photo of your shaking hands, uploaded yesterday by user. Cloves and iron pervade your laundry. No detergent fights it. Final straw. Steam from your ramen forms Masako's childhood name every time you exhale. The characters linger until broth cools, an edible Ouija board. You surrender, typing Yasuko into the festival volunteer portal. Instant confirmation email. Shift starts in 15 minutes. Bring earplugs and rice offerings. Your doorbell rings. No one's there, just a crow dropping a subway map where stations align with battle sites from 1199. The closest stop, literally beneath your building's faulty fire exit. Of course, as night falls, neighborhood dogs howl the bell's 5-tone pattern. One toddler points at your window screaming obechin. Auntie, before his tablet, permanently buffers Peppa Pig. You check and Ryakuji's live stream, the bell still motionless, yet your ribcage thrums. Wayasuke, Wayasuke, Wayasuke. Morse code, hammered through bone. The vibration follows you into dreams. You're ringing the bell now, no becoming it. Each toll shakes centuries of dust from your joints. A monk's voice slices through bronze. She didn't want worship, just good acoustics. Dawn peels the dream away. Your pillow holds a maple leaf charred at the edges. The smartwatch reports 0 sleep, but 18,000 steps logged. Out the window, construction crews unearth a bell fragment beneath the bike lane. City workers argue whether it's landfill junk or something far older humming beneath their drills. Your phone buzzes. The Yasuko's guest list, app you never installed, pings a notification. Next toll, 38 hours. The countdown syncs with Enryakujai's ledger, and the vibrating fillings in your molars. Steam from your morning coffee forms 2 words, this time not Japanese, but perfect English. Loud enough. The genealogy app glitches again. Masako's family tree now includes your pet parakeet. A university email blinks. Ray, DNA study participation. Attached forms list 37 clauses about ethical biorecreation of historical leadership phenotypes. Translation: they want to bottle her ruthless genius. You scroll the consent waiver paragraphs, blurring into battlefield maps. Clause 14. 7 bans creating a shogunate in vitro, which definitely nullifies your apartment lease. A lab assistant calls while microwaving noodles, their voice flickering between genders. Don't worry, it's just cheek swabs. We'll need your ancestral trauma patterns too. Historians still argue whether Masako's 1213 land reforms caused genetic mutations. Mainstream science says no. But Kyoto, you found samurai remains with inverted molars, chewed through helmet straps during sieges. Your dentist's last invoice had a footnote. Excessive grinding, Hōjō era coping mechanism. The lab's cultural liaison arrives with plastic vials and a 3D printed prayer wheel. He claims it's FDA approved. Instructions include chanting modernization is voluntary 3 times. You spit into tube, it bubbles like miso soup. His tablet auto-captions the gurgles. First defensive perimeter, hold the rice stores. They've AI modeled her genome using Edo period fingernail clippings, sold on Mercury as haunted keratin. A grad student's blog post leaked last week. Masako's reconstructed microbiome could digest parchment and spite. The project's code name, Operation Cuddly Shogun. Your spit vial starts levitating. The liaison whips out a Geiger counter. It clicks to the rhythm of Enryakujai's bell. Happens 10% of samples. He laughs, nervously adjusting a necklace of irradiated teeth. Don't look directly at the nucleotides. Family outcry floods Twitter. Third cousins twice removed disown you, they're trending as clone killjoys. One aunt's Facebook rant ends with her TV playing NHK's Taiga drama marathon. Reversed audio reveals Masako's stratagems for tax evasion at the Konbini cash register. Your melon bread's barcode scans as YASUKO approved. The clerk's tattooed forearm twitches, ink forming the Hōjō crest when near your wallet. You pay in exact change coins aligned like castle fortifications. Night brings more consent forms. Clause 6-9 materializes in steam on your bathroom mirror. All cloned offspring must inherit Masako's land disputes. Through the fog, a silhouette adjusts its armor in your shower. Morning reveals protesters outside, history buffs, waving no posthumous Bushido. Signs, fanfic writers demanding sequels. A food truck sells replica ambition buns, filled with too much red bean paste. Every third bite cracks a molar. Your spit sample goes rogue, escaping the lab via drone. Scientists track it to a Love Hotel's lost and found, where employees report a very assertive moisturizer bottle. The liaison texts, PLS, disregard commercial fridge explosion, will Venmo damages. You attempt normalcy, streaming cat videos, until the algorithm serves samurai kitties of Kamakura. Comments sections flooded with accounts named at Masako fan, account 6969, spamming tactical advice for dealing with yarn balls. A package arrives, stamped with the museum's seal. Inside, Masako's disputed hairpin, now a USB drive. Plugging it in crashes your laptop. Resurrects as a pixelated bell tower screensaver. Task Manager shows processes named Siege Engine, EXC, and Political Allocator, DLL. The liaison FaceTimes during a fire drill. Great news, we're pivoting to merch. Behind him, interns tag cloned pituitary glands as vintage-inspired ambition supplements. His name tag now reads temp worker #Masako did nothing wrong. Your final rejection email cites unforeseen spiritual liabilities, then self-deletes. The formatted blankness leaves a dent in your screen, a perfect maple leaf shape. Outside, city workers repave the street using melted down samurai swords. Asphalt steams with unresolved blood feuds. You microwave tea. The turntable spins counterclockwise. Steam painting a DNA helix. The steam lingers after shutdown, double helixing into a ladder. It stretches toward your ceiling fan, humming the bell's 5-note motif. The fan blades chop the helix into confetti, each fragment a tiny scroll. They land spelling, try ancestry, come again. The microwaves hum syncs with temple bells from your laptop, their digital echoes warping into whale song. Your last ancestry. Calm notification pings a 0. 7% match to unidentified hyaenira hair sample. You screenshot it. The pixels rearrange into a battlefield sutra. Steam from your tea condenses on the window, each droplet a tiny samurai helmet. You trace Masako's moan crest with a fingertip. The glass cracks along clan war boundaries. Outside, streetlights bloom like wartime signal fires. A delivery robot gets stuck curbside, its error message flashing supply lines compromised. Historians still argue whether Masako's empty grave meant theft or apotheosis. Mainstream texts claim grave robbers took her sword, but but shrine records mention 8 crows carrying iron westwards. Your smart bulb flickers. Shadows on the wall reenact the 1221 Jakyu War. The defeat scrolls past at 2x speed. You catch the edit, directed by Masako's ghost. Your pillowcase smells suddenly of temple incense. Or is that Thursday laundry neglect? The Wikipedia tab on your phone auto-updates. Masako's page now lists spiritual advisor under occupation. Edit history shows changes made from your IP address during REM cycles. A recommended video loads 10-hour ASMR shogunate tax codes. You let it play whispered tariffs merge with ceiling fan white noise. Commenters report unprecedented productivity. One user's knitting project became a scale model of Kamakura. The algorithm suggests medieval Japanese antibacterial techniques. Next, the thumbnail features a kombini egg salad sandwich. Your weighted blanket shifts constricts into a passable imitation of samurai armor. Pressure points align with old arrow wounds from that VR shrine game. The clock radio flips to a station playing biwa lute, interspersed with stock market updates. Nikkei Index numbers match troop counts from Masako's final rebellion. You find cherry blossom petals in your charging port, out of season and glowing faintly. Plant identification apps suggest Genpei War commemorative cultivar. Tweets from @Samurai Bot 55 warn of pollen-based surveillance. You vacuum the petals. The Dyson exhales a perfect smoke signal. Bedside books rearrange themselves. Thich and Hat, and now bookended by Sun Tzu. A loose page from The Art of War sticks to your palm. The ink migrates into your skin. Tactical diagrams pulse where prom lines should be. Nightbus headaches limited texts. Unexpected demand, your DNA sequencing delayed. Attached meme shows Masako's reconstructed skull, photoshopped onto a Costco membership card. You reply with a gif of a shrugging Onryo. Red receipts show they blocked you at 3:17 a.m. The room alternates between too hot and too cold climate control or zazen breathing exercises. You check the thermostat. The display reads Hongzhai Temple, Winter 1219. Historical records confirm Masako meditated there during sieges. Modern HVAC owes her monks big time. A notification pings your sleep tracker, congratulates you on achieving warrior non-REM cycles. Biofeedback shows dagger-shaped spikes in heart rate. Right when the Dream Palace guards changed shifts, the app suggests hydrating with siege-resistant electrolytes. You wonder about Masako's actual bedtime routine. Probably fewer doom scrolls through feudal crypto forums. Scholars found her 1218 inventory scroll. Lists 7 pillows stuffed with diplomatic letters. Your memory foam starts whispering courtier gossip about the Minamoto clan. Closing your eyes invited cathedral bells, except they're coming from the fish tank. The neon tetras school into moan patterns, their blue stripes mimicking her armor lacing. The filter gurgles out a familiar 5-note motif, same as temple bells in Kamakura. Your last coherent thought. Did she ever regret the Ikebana spy network? Those florists deserved hazard pay. Then black silk waves pull you under, carrying the salt crust scent of Sagami Bay. The bells fade first, then the sour tang of modern pollution. Masako's voice arrives as your breath steadies, a sword being sheathed in velvet. Rest now. It lies smoothly, because history never sleeps, because wars continue in spreadsheet formulas, because your DNA still holds one unread scroll. Somewhere, an ancestor's unresolved ambition vibrates through mitochondrial RNA. Somewhere, a lab tech babysits your spit sample as it plots regime change. You float on, unaware, as the dream version of you signs a 13th century alliance treaty in ballpoint pen. She leaves you with the lullaby they sang to warlords, infants, 3 notes for survival, 5 for betrayal. Your heartbeat becomes the taiko drum, your muffled ear the battlefield, your slow blink the closing castle gates. Just before dawn, when even ghosts yawn, the last bell tone dissolves. Only her iron whisper remains, pinning your modern worries to the mattress like vanquished banners. Her story continues, your eyelids the final scroll seal, the darkness, an imperial decree demanding surrender. The microwave's hum thins to a ghost temple bells dissolving like sugar in tea. Your screen dims, that 0.7% DNA match still pulsing like a distant war drum. Steam rises from your abandoned cup. The samurai helmet, droplets now just condensation. Outside, streetlights dim to fireflies. The delivery, robots' red error lights blink ceasefire. Your pillow, scented with half-imagined temple incense, cradles the weight of centuries. The flickering smart bulb steadies, shadow soldiers lowering their weapons. Wikipedia's spiritual advisor title glows, a soft amber altarpiece above your bed. Weighted blanket armor softens to cloud wool, arrow wound pressure points dissolving like aspirin in water. Biwa lute strings blend with your breath, stock tickers morphing into rain patters. Cherry blossom pollen drifts from the charger port, harmless confetti now, vacuumed into starry silence. Bookshelf sun, Tsu murmurs treaty terms, skin-inked diagrams fading like old henna. Night bus headaches LTD's meme blurs, Masako's Costco skull grinning through pixelated static. Thermostat numerals melt, Hongchai Temple. Winter 1219 becomes 68 degrees F. The air stills, no longer seat chilled. Just Thursday night HVAC exhales. Sleep trackers dagger heartbeats smooth, your pulse a river rounding ancient stones. Memory foam whispers shift to cradle your neck. No Minamoto gossip, just foam. Fish tank bells sink into gravel tetras, dispersing like ash on waves. Filters, 5-note lullaby sticks, Kamakura's anthem softened to white noise. Black silk waves retreat, leaving solitaire dreams in your hairline. Masako's sheathed sword voice murmurs, let ledgers burn themselves. Mitochondrial ambitions, quiet. Lab techs clock out. Your spit sample sleeps. Ballpoint treaties dissolve. Pen cap clicks. Shut like castle bolts. Taiko drums slow your heartbeat. Now a ferry rocking in safe harbor. Eyelids lower. Heavy. With iron whispers, velvet resolve. The weight of spent banners. Dawn yawns. Phone chargers hum monastic tones. Bells, wars, algorithms all sink into mattress stitches. She leaves no scroll, just breath. Just the warm void where epics go to rest. Air conditioner purrs. Your last thought a cherry petal sinking. Unhurried, unconscious. Finally, lightless.